I see we have 4 new companions. You think you can best me? You will kneel before Molag Bal. They will not finish me.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome to the New Companions podcast for ESO, for Elder Scrolls Online. If you probably play Elder Scrolls Online, maybe you don't, you've just popped in, and that is a very interesting face that I see being pulled by Ninja right now. So this is an ESO podcast, as I just said. I'm not sure about the actual frequency, whether we're not going to do this weekly, every bi-weekly. It just depends whether or not you enjoyed it, and obviously enjoyed Ninja's facial reactions to everything I say, which is going to be fine. But I have 3 awesome guests. We have Ninja614, Kevduit, and T. How are you doing today, Ninja? Good? Excited?
Finer than a frog's haircut 4 ways. How are you?
I don't even know what that means.
It's pretty damn fine. It's pretty damn fine. That's
okay, that's good. All right. How you doing, Kevduit? Good?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Awesome. You guys are so busy at the moment. I'm watching all the things. And T, how are you doing?
Hello.
You good?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, absolutely. And how's chat? Everyone good? Everyone well today? Everyone excited for Elder Scrolls Online in 2019? That is a lot of stuff going on this year. I mean, like January announcing. I mean, what game is there? Any game that does that? Is there any MMO that actually announces pretty much, you know, what is happening for the entire year? I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Not like MMO wise, but like games, just their content. You know, every quarter we've got something coming out. I mean, it's pretty immense, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Is there any game that you can think of that actually does that? I mean, I'm pretty happy. Tetris. Yeah, I mean, we know some bits about. Or like competitive Tetris kind of thing. I mean, that's going to be massive. You know, right?
I don't know of any. It's one of the reasons why I love ESO so much, is because of that very reason. Is there's always something to look forward to, and the pace of the content comes out is so frequent and so fast that you never, even when the MMO lulled, you know, all MMOs have that sort of hype train, and then that, you know, it's like a sine wave of enthusiasm followed by fatigue, and you know, people, you know, population grows and shrinks. Even during the lulls, there's, I think, just a ton of players that stick around and continue to play because there's always something to look forward to around the horizon.
Yeah, the events and stuff, eh?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're still going for that. Yeah, we're still going for the mount right now as well at the moment. I mean, we've still got that going on. I mean, there's that in itself. And then you've got the DLCs that are coming up. I mean, this is the year of the, you know, it's the year of the dragon, the season of the dragon, but it's also the season of the Khajiit, right? I mean, so T, you must be pretty excited, right?
It only took 5 years. We're here.
Well, I mean,
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the obvious bias towards cats at ZeniMax, considering Argonians only got a DLC and cats get a whole chapter. So
salty.
You know, let me just officially air my grievance here that, you know, I feel like Argonians got the shaft and not the good kind. Just saying. Well,
I mean, I think that's fine to say. I mean, I'm an Argonian. That's my main. I mean, you know, Murkmire was pretty good. I'm still working my. That's the thing with the Elder Scrolls, though. I mean, I've never really. I came into the game 10 months ago. So I'm out of us 4. Sorry, I'm like the least experienced in terms of the lore and like the actual, you know, Elder Scrolls Online community. I'm still getting to know everyone, and everyone is ridiculously welcoming, which is really, really good. But so we're great. Yeah, there's no saltiness or anything anywhere. It's absolutely fine. But you know, every community has these kinds of things. But I don't know. I started on Argonia, and I was like, you know, there was always that difficult thing to think about, right? Like, what's it gonna be? Like, I want to be, you know, I want a tail. I want to look like a lizard, you know. But what class do I then be? Like, what can I be? Can I be like, you know, a caster? Can I be, you know, melee DPS? Can I be whatever? And not only are they bringing in, you know, Elsweyr this year and all the DLC, but they're doing passive changes, right? I mean,
Yes.
When
sweeping,
so excited.
Sweeping passive changes.
I mean, I mean, how do you guys feel about, you know, the impact of these changes? Is there any I mean, if anyone in the chat wants to bring up those changes, you can do !ESO passives. And there is a command where you can see the current passives, and you can actually see the new changes. Thank you, Reader, in the chat as well. So you can go and have a look at the comparisons there. But it means that you can play a new race. So you can, as you know, magic as a caster, you know, as a healer, as a DPS. I'm not sure, maybe healer specific, but so Khajiit are getting kind of a big change, right? But that's obviously because of Elsweyr. Is there anyone who is going to change potentially their main into something else? Like a name change, they're going to race change. Is there any big changes you guys are thinking of kind of this year? I'm talking about in Elder Scrolls, by the way. I mean, you know, you can name change if you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, so far, I mean, one of my takeaway from it, from playing around with the PTS, talking to other theory crafters and testers and other content creators, is that the racials have been kind of brought in more in line and normalized, so that there's really no there's a lot more flexibility in choice, and there's no more like major penalties for having one race over the other. And even the DPS parses are staying within 600 to like 1,000 DPS of each other. So it doesn't, I mean, honestly, I don't really plan on changing any right away at this point, just because I feel like you now have an opportunity to play whatever you want and just play, you know, just be aware of what those passives are giving you or perhaps not, and then just make a few adjustments, either the play style or build or skills, and boom. You can rock what you want, which is super exciting for a lot of players, because I think a lot of people were feeling frustrated that there was this sort of meta min-max idea out there, and then there's like, but I want to play this particular race class combo, and I feel like now that's more of a reality than it's ever been, and that's super exciting. So I don't think I'm gonna change any, because I'm really pleased with my characters at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, like the limited playstyle, a lot of people would come to me and ask me if this would work, and every time I'd have to always tell them the same thing. No, you got to go with the meta. Like, if you really want to hit the numbers that all the big wigs are hitting, you got to go a certain way. But I mean, all the racial passives are, I think it's probably one of the best additions the game has ever seen. Just really allowing, I mean, that Elder Scrolls free stuff to be expressed now, even just through the racial stuff, which is great.
How you changing? You've got to be changing some. I mean, I don't know how many are all your characters Khajiits, or have you got other?
I only really play one character. I play T. And she's been a Magicka Nightblade Khajiit since early access. So I always get people coming to my chat go, why did you go Magicka Nightblade? Why did you go Magicka Nightblade as a Khajiit? Why aren't you Stam? And it's because I play what I like, and I like the Magicka playstyle more, but I also want to play cute Kato. So,
but now you'll have.
If anyone's like nervous about the passive changes, I just say play what you want to play, and I've always said that. So
indeed,
I don't think anything's changing. I'm happy. I'm getting more Magicka though.
Yeah.
Before cats were cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I mean, like I was literally about to say. So you get the Magicka stuff. What is it? The recovery. I'm just looking at it now.
We get a lot of stuff.
Increases Magicka as well by 750. Is it Lunar Blessings or something like that? Yeah, there's loads of stuff. Okay, there's Feline Ambush increases your weapon and spell critical chance by 8%. So there is some, there is some really, really good stuff for you there. So there is some legitimate stuff where, you know, if you were playing, even though there's the whole idea of min-maxing, and that's in every game, but obviously, you know, ESO kind of takes it to that degree where even playing the race could before really, you know, impact that. But I definitely felt when I played the game that, because I'm one of those players, sometimes I am one of those players where I'm like, you know, I really do want to push for stats sometimes. But as I started to play the game and I started to get to know the community, I understood that, you know, I can make what did I make? I made something really ridiculous. I deleted it in the end. But I mean, I've got an elf Nightblade tank or something like that. I don't know. That's not too great, but it's just I'm just having so much fun playing it. And really the big difference is just, you know, am I going to be tanking as much damage, or am I going to be, you know, able to do all these massive crazy things that I don't really need to be doing unless I'm like competing against someone specifically, maybe, and I just need to be good enough to do what I need to do in the game for me. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good for my stream. And my main is a healer, pardon me, anyway. So I'm just playing an Argonian, which is, you know, the way to go, I think. But well, I'm going to make an Argonian Necro. I mean, you know, is amazing.
Moist and bumpy for your pleasure, chat.
I think so.
Argonians are bis.
I think that's a good idea. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how chat feels about the passives. If you want to talk about anything in the chat as well and bring it to our attention, you can at me or at one of the guests here, and we'll be able to get that as well. Oh dear, my bot's disconnecting. That's not fun. Oh, it's back again. It's okay. And hopefully the bot will actually work, and loads of different bits and pieces will go in the chat as well. But just at one of us, and we can definitely bring it up and welcome everyone. I hope everyone is good in chat. Yes, you will be able to get drops. Don't worry, it's absolutely fine. They will go out the standard time, I guess, like Monday morning as per usual. But yeah, passives. I mean, just we're kind of sweepingly going over a lot of stuff, guys, because we've got about 2 hours. This is how long the podcast is going to be, and there's so much to go through. I mean, the passives are just one thing that's coming. I mean, the passives are coming with Wrathstone, right? I mean, that's soon. That's like
for PC, it's the 25th.
25th of Feb.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's like the 5th of March or something like that. Anybody confirm that? I believe it's the 5th for console.
Huh. I mean, that's a lot of content already. I mean, we get 2 done. All right, let me just go through. Let me go through my notes. I mean, is there anything you guys want to talk about specifically about passives? I mean, I kind of sweepingly went through that. There's a lot of information in there in terms of passives.
I went through the individual passives and had detailed discussions on my stream. It took 4 hours to get through it. If you really want to dive down in and actually do a blow by blow compare, I mean, it was, So I mean, we can do that if you want, if that's the only thing you want to talk about for the next 2 hours.
Oh, definitely not.
I feel like, at this point, the takeaway is it's great and you should all be happy. Trust me, I'm a streamer.
Definitely trust people that have a shaved head as well. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a choice for Ninja. It's not a choice for me, but you should definitely.
It's rapidly becoming not a choice for me. So eventually, I'll be much like you, where I just roll with it.
Okay, you get I mean, if you can get the shine that I've currently got going on the stream as well.
I got a little ways to go for that. And I'm not trying to push it there, but I will say that this is the most low maintenance hairdo I've ever had, so it's my favorite so far.
Once a week, man.
I feel kind of attacked here.
I'd trim it every 2 weeks. I'm just all like, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, there you go then. No, Kev, you look great. Don't worry, dude. You're all good, man. You're still a very young man. You got he's rock and roll. Look, he's got the leather jacket on. He's
he's the cool one.
He is the cool one.
That's right.
That's right. I just want to say as well that we've got 3 awesome, really, really talented content creators on here. I mean, if you are not watching Ninja on Twitch, if you're not watching Kev on Twitch, if you're not watching T as well, you need to be following these guys. If you do !TNC in the chat, you can get links to all of their channels. So please make sure you go and follow these guys and check them out. They're awesome. Kev's doing some crazy awesome stuff on YouTube. I've been following him for many years. For as long as he's been doing it. It's weird because I've now got him on a podcast. So he's kind of odd. It's okay. And Ninja and T, when I first came into the community last year, I think 2 of the most welcoming people that I met early on. There are so many streamers that are so welcoming. But I was new, and it was like, a lot of directories that, a new person comes in, they find that threatening, they're partnered and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, they do. It's just a thing. But Elder Scrolls Online, people just say, you're awesome. Come and hang out. This is Jebro. Go and follow him. And people kind of pass through, and they're like, oh, I've seen them in their stream, and they're just friendly, and everything's cool, and everyone's pretty chill. So Elder Scrolls ESO fam, right?
ESO fam.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so passives kind of done. Basically, passives are awesome. Passive changes, good. I mean, the way I see it is the closer they can be, you know, some tiny variations here and there, the closer they can be, so that everything's kind of on a flat plane, the better, especially for things like, you know, PvP and everything. So everyone feels as if they can definitely just play what they want without that little bit of pressure maybe from other people who are a little bit more hardcore. I think that's great. But I think it's important, obviously, that they try and keep the ethos and the idea of the Elder Scrolls alive, which is what ESO try and always do, right, when they talk to Bethesda, and that's the way they want to do it with Elsweyr as well. I mean, which is coming on June 4th, and Elsweyr is just gonna be amazing. I mean, when you were there, Ninja, what was it like? Like the hype, just being at Twitch itself and being able to announce that?
It was one of those pinch me. Is this my life now? You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of like,
right.
As I was sitting in a hotel room drinking whiskey with the Lore Seekers podcast guys, Jibs and Cash and Gina and Jess and Rich, and on Rich's laptop he played us the trailer the night before, and I mean, I might have been a little whiskey, you know, involved there, but I got hit in the feels for a minute. Like I was, it was intense, and I was like, and the trailer was so good that I was like, holy shit, Rich! No wonder you've been like a giddy teenager these last few weeks. You know what I mean? Like he was so. Like he's been sitting on this sucker, you know, but super stoked about the hype involved. Yeah. So, and then we got to talk about all of the exciting stuff, like the guild finder, the changes to the guild trader search, the zone finder, the a full trial coming, the racial passives. Like it was one of those. One of those experiences I will never forget, and I feel honored and privileged to have had it, and I'm just super stoked that the community has been so supportive of what I've been doing over here, that I was on Twitch's or ESO's radar to even get to do something like that. I mean, that was just, I mean, what an honor. You know, what else can I say other than holy crap, thank everybody for that. You know what I'm saying? You know, potentially once in a lifetime opportunity to do something that cool. So yeah, it was very exciting. It was magical. It was neat.
We were all behind you in that. We were just like, you know, this is an epic thing. They just do.
All the memes that came out of it.
Oh God. I mean, it was beautiful. Oh my God. I mean, even during the actual with Rich, just that show when I can't remember which dev. I've written the quote here. Where did she? This is a quote, so I'm swearing because of a quote. Okay, it was just great. I was just like, this game is so rock and roll sometimes. It's brilliant. They were talking about the dungeons. I've got her name down somewhere. Is it Michelle? And she says, you know, Abnorfar makes the biggest fuck up of his career. And I was just like, epic. These guys, you know, they're not scared. They're not afraid of, you know, the things they want to say. You know, this is good. This is good. The reason I'm kind of delaying a little bit is because I'm trying to prep another screen because I want to show the trailer very, very quickly. I don't normally swear on my streams. You know, it's weird. Now's
where the podcast where we watch the trailer on repeat.
Yeah,
many times over as an homage to the ESO Live.
But yeah,
Never forget. You probably won't, honestly.
It was fantastic.
So it's a year-long adventure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many times did we hear Finn say that?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a year, mate. Yeah. What's happening this year? I mean, there's definitely some bits and pieces. I mean, there might be some DLCs. Okay, I'm almost ready. Oh, yeah. This is what I forgot to do. I knew there was something. Okay, so we're going to go over to a flashy thing. Look at this. Oh, my God. It's amazing. So if you buy Elsweyr right now, you can get access to this mount, right? Now you can hold up something. Now you're holding up a horse. There you go.
Why is its rear end right above my head?
I have to hold my cup of tea, so you gotta do it, Kev.
It's in preparation. It's in preparation for something that will be upcoming. That's going to animate very shortly. It took a lot of work You thought that document took a lot of work. That took a lot of work. So yeah, if you order Elsewhere right now, you can get. Has anyone got this horse at the moment? You ever do it?
Not yet.
How nice is it? Is it lovely? A beautiful horse. Are you using it? You best be using it.
I mean, it's not my aesthetic, but it is a beautiful horse. I like it.
It's because it's not.
You're lost by a horse. I'm not using it. I'm using the cute.
Oh, it's the horse. I thought we were talking about
Cerebral
the
one.
shield.
No. It's the lion statue over there for housing. That's the cool thing that's happening. Do you see the lion up there?
That's cool too.
Yeah, isn't that neat? It's
Yeah,
very,
I like
very
that.
good.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful. But yeah, Elsewhere. Okay, so let's go. Ninja went there, obviously. When was it? It was in January the... what date was that?
Yeah, January something.
It was early. First week or so. Anyway, early Jan. And we got to find
week,
out...
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty early. So I was talking about before, guys in chat. And if you're just coming to the stream, this is the New Companions ESO podcast. You can do this every so often. We've got 3 awesome guests here today. But we're talking about Elsewhere and generally stuff about the game. We're going to ask these guys about some stuff in terms of Elder Scrolls and their own gameplay and stuff later. But we're just talking about Elsewhere at the moment. So we've got the Wrathstone DLC, which is coming out 25th Feb, March for console. Then we've got the actual chapter that comes out in June, and then Q3 is an unannounced DLC, which is Dungeon, I believe, and then Q4 is a story zone, and I've heard it's similar in size to Murkmire. I'm not sure where I heard that from. I can't remember, and I don't want to quote anyone specifically. But...
Meyer, Clockwork City, the sort of zone.
Seems to be their standard story zone size DLC.
Right. I mean, it's one thing I noticed about ESO when I played the DLCs was, especially with like the Clockwork one, it was getting to the zone and thinking, this zone is actually really tiny, but the quests are so well designed to a point where the story is so engaging and the things that you do aren't necessarily in that zone, or they might be, you know, inside a delve, which is essentially makes the zone even larger. So that content, and I never feel like I have to rush it either. I mean, I've still not done Murkmire. I mean, I've got a little bit into it.
It's so
Same
good.
though.
The main story is so good, guys. It's
I
you
would believe.
You really
I
should.
was surprised. Yeah. It was good.
I've only been here for 10 months, so I've got so
How
much.
have you not done everything?
The thing is
Well,
that I
get
don't,
on it, Mr. Variety Streamer.
I just started. Yeah, there is that. I just that's one of the problems. That is one of the problems. I just started to PvP as well, so been a little bit
your
into
time.
that right now. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. But Wrathstone. Let's talk about Wrathstone. What if you could pick one thing? And I'll ask you first, Ninja, because you're there right next to me. What's the thing you're looking forward to the most for Wrathstone that you know that's coming with that DLC?
Well, the dungeons. I run a lot of dungeons, and I love figuring out the puzzles in the new dungeons. I ran them on the PTS. We did the first one we tried was the deep. Man, the names are totally
Malatar Deep. Depths of Malatar. Yeah.
Depths of Malatar. We did that one first. Really cool backstory going on there. They are devoted Meridian. It's like militant Meridia. So, you know, at the end of the main story, #spoilers, the end of the main story, you know, you get to talk to Meridia, and she's all lovey and supportive and happy and nice. Now you're getting to see what Meridia pissed off looks like with her followers, and they're like, you know, it's a really cool dungeon, and if you actually pay attention to the quest that's in there and just don't burn through it, it's really neat. So it's Meridia when Meridia is mad, like her force brought to bear to protect one of the tablet stones, right? So the dungeons for sure. The other one I haven't had a chance to get all the way to the end on the PTS yet. But I haven't actually got the chance to do the Skivaton yet, so I'm very, very excited to get in and do the Skivaton fight. Yes. And you know, so plus what I was really happy about was the Depths of Malatar dungeon. All you have to do is complete the dungeon on vet to get the skin. You don't have to do the no death speed run hard mode. You get a different reward for that. So it's a great opportunity for players, more approachable for the larger population to get a really cool skin, and it's a really neat looking skin. So I was really excited about that as well. Yeah, definitely. That's the dungeons.
Really good. What skin is it? I actually don't know what skin that is.
It's like the light of Meridia or something like that, and you like literally like glowing like you have. God. So the mobs that are inside there that have the glowy eyes and skin and everything. Yeah. You get the same skin, and it's basically like you have the light of Meridia inside of you, and your eyes are glowing, and you can like see the veins because it's literally like you got a flashlight inside your body. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
So I like it a lot. That's the first thing I'm getting then.
I mean, the racial passives and all of the quality of life improvements notwithstanding, those are all great too. I'm just super excited about the new content, as I always am.
We're MMO players, right? I mean, we like skins and we like dungeons.
Right, exactly. I mean, high fashion per second is the most important thing, right? Yeah.
That's it. High fashion per second. I need to see. I hope that's not copyrighted because I'm using it now. That's actually really good. Nice. Awesome. Kevduit. Were you going to say something? And also let me know your thoughts.
Man, yeah, Ninja, you got to look forward to that Skivaton. It's probably the best thing has ever done. We ran it during the charity stream a couple weeks ago with Gina and Kina and Gangies, and man, I didn't even know that was coming because I like to keep those dungeons a complete surprise and just let the stuff happen. And when we got into that part, it's the best. It's the absolute best out of any dungeon. It's so much fun. And the fight itself is great. Like, it's probably one of the best fights mechanically I've ever done in the dungeon. Like, it's super fun.
Okay.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, I've done all of them, and I love that fight because it's one of the few dungeons that feels like there's so much more going on to it than just beat the living crap out of this guy. It's like, no, you gotta do some steps. And then following that, you've got the amazing new set from Malatar, Scavenging Demise, and my builds are like super focused on poison damage. And this set is like, hey, do you deal poison damage? Do you want to see your enemies die from more poison damage than they've ever seen in their lives?
Can you do it in your proper Kevduit, like the voice of him in his YouTube video, on your YouTube video? Can you do that?
Do you like poison damage? Do you like to see your enemies die by unfathomable amounts of poison damage? Well, guess what? You've got Scavenging Demise, the medium set that will absolutely annihilate all those selfish nerds in the Ebonheart Pact and the Eldamari Dominion. They won't even remember what faction they were from after you've poisoned them so heavily that it'll be great.
Bad things happen.
It's fantastic. It's actually great.
We gotta get some kind of applause in the chat for that.
Good show.
Good.
I mean, that's
good stuff.
Clap.
Dude, like you deal, like literally you deal,
amazing. Like
it's just like it's weapon damage and critical. And then if you deal critical poison damage, so to those of you ladies and gentlemen out there, there's a set called, oh, now you're gonna have to remind me. It's a poison set that literally, if you were crouched, it guarantees a poison critical. This set
is that in PvP? Is that using PvP?
PvP is gonna be painful.
Because I know that. Yeah, I know that set.
Oh, it's gonna kill. It's gonna
be gross.
People. Yeah, and then it increases their damage taken by 8% when you hit them again. So it deals more poison damage, increases their damage taken. It's just beautiful. I just want to kiss it. It's so good.
Okay, so Kev do it in PvP. Watch out for him there as well. In Cyrodiil, right? Okay.
Yeah,
got you.
Right.
So you're looking forward to the dungeons as well, the sets that come from that. So there's new sets. There is new PvP sets coming as well because there is a battleground, I believe, as far as I remember. Actually, is that true? Might be. I think so. I just don't think they've talked about it much. I'll have to relook from my notes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to T about it first. What are you looking forward to the most, T?
Well, I spent a really long time in the dungeon, specifically the one with the Skivatron. We tried to do hard mode.
Oh man.
And I think we did 2 Mondays in a row of just trying to get through the hard mode for that dungeon. And the Skivatron thing is awesome.
Did you ever finish it?
On regular vet, but it is insane on hard mode. So you have 2 attackers, Skivatrons, and then like 2 healy defensive Skeevatrons, and depending on which circle you go to, they're like different colored, and you have to sort of, and then there's things attacking you too. There's little tiny spiders that'll attack you, and it took a lot of trial and error to even get through the first Skeevatron phase. And it was, they actually did a couple changes where it'll give you a chance to look at the skills, because at first we didn't realize that we all had separate skills, and we didn't know what they did because they just dropped you in and things are killing you immediately. So I haven't tried it since they changed it though, but I'm hopeful that makes it a little bit less painful.
Yeah.
That dungeon is way harder than the Meridia one though.
Yeah. All of the bosses are more
easier.
challenging. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Fun, though.
Is
They're
it
really
that
fun.
I haven't
it's
played
fun.
the PTS because I really like, for myself, I have to, for my own reaction and everything else, I want to stream it that day and be like, whoa, the hell, you know, and on that kind of stuff. With PTS servers, I've always been very excited about getting that instant day. I've got a weird thing of it. It's like demos and betas and stuff. I'll play it for a bit to get a feel to see if I want to do it. Then I'll drop it straight away and try and forget about it because I'm that person. But
I'm definitely not. I like breaking things and trying to fix it before it goes live.
That's good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
we need that.
yeah.
We need that for sure.
So
But yeah, I
hopefully
mean,
it helps a little bit.
Is there anything else in that specifically, T, that you're looking forward to in Wrathstone? Is it mainly the dungeon stuff that you're looking forward to? So dungeons, I mean, the dungeons are the pretty
Getting
much
more
the main concept.
Magicka.
Getting your
I'm
Magicka.
so
There you
excited.
go.
I wanted to live on the PTS after like going from live PTS. I'm like, I have Magicka. It's awesome.
Oh, you just stand there for a while and just look at your stats and just be like, yes, I have that Magicka.
It made a lot of difference.
Yeah. Alaska
It did
to
make a lot.
Hawaii.
Nice. And someone did mention the poison set that you were talking
Vice Cannon of Venom, yeah.
There
I
you
saw it
go.
there. That's the set, yeah. He knows way more than I do.
Jeez, that is the name of it?
Yeah, Vice Cannon. It was a set I used to use a lot back in the day, and then it kind of got crappy, but then this set, all I can see is that this is going to be stupid. Like, this is going to be absolutely stupid, crazy powerful. Like, yeah, it's going to be great.
There have been some issues, since I've been here as well. I've noticed that obviously it takes a little bit of time sometimes for some of those changes to perhaps come in, and where something might be a little bit strong potentially in PvP or something else. I mean, I will say that I play a lot of MMOs and I do variety stream, as a lot of people in my channel know. And that is not an unusual thing. It does happen in many MMOs and just games on the regular, really. So it kind of doesn't worry me too much. But hopefully, if it is something that is ridiculously powerful, it gets toned down just a little bit. You got to let people have the fun, you know, and do some blowing up. Personally, so as someone, I haven't played the PTS at all. I think there's that kind of stuff. The dungeons are definitely like, I'm a big PvPer actually. So Guild Wars 2 was the MMO I play a lot as well, alongside Elder Scrolls Online, and that PvP is actually my main focus. You should shoutcast and commentate that. But surprisingly, in Elder Scrolls Online, my main focus is actually dungeons and trying to get into trials, and it was all about gearing up for that. So I've got an Argonian, he's a Templar, he's a healer. And it's actually been, I love the dungeons, I love the modes, and part of Elsweyr that I'm very interested in, which is going a little bit too far forward, is the trials later on, the fact that you can select the different modes for those bosses and everything else in there. And just that you can do things like veteran, you can do a normal dungeon, you can do veteran dungeon, you can do a hard mode, and the challenges that come with that as well, which is what I really enjoy about this game specifically, which actually a lot of other games don't have. So yeah, the dungeons are going to be a big thing for me personally. There is the zone guide, which apparently is coming in as well with this patch. Is that right?
So good.
It's really nice.
Like, I mean, you can basically, I've got a screenshot. I'm just hoping to see if I'm going forward a little tiny bit. but you can basically, so there are add-ons for this, obviously, but console can't actually have add-ons. So, you know, console is going to get this, and that's going to be massively helpful for them. It's going to be massively helpful for anyone new. See, this is what I like as well. Not only are they've got a chapter, they're thinking about all the new players that, because I know, especially coming from Guild Wars 2, from other MMOs, there are a lot of people coming into Elder Scrolls at the moment. So they know that they need to cultivate these new players and really introduce them and get them through these zones in this story, so that they're not only ready for Elsweyr, but they're kind of caught up in the story. Maybe they've got some achievements and really get invested in the game. So, I mean, do you think, I mean, they're doing a good job, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy how many players are coming into the game.
It's fantastic. I'm actually looking forward to see, because this is going to require a pretty significant rewrite for all of the current Guild Trader add-ons that are out there, particularly Awesome Guild Store, because from just looking at the API, they're going to have to completely redo what they're doing. But what I'm curious then is what they can then take this and further refine it to make this even more powerful, and see just how much easier. Because even right now with Awesome Guild Store Trader, it's still pretty clunky and slow, and you still got to do a lot of paging to find what you're looking for. And my first pass on this one looks like it might be much easier to just immediately dive into a very narrow search, which is going to be really cool. So
finding housing stuff is like so much easier. Oh my gosh.
That's it. I mean, I noticed that when I again, coming from other MMOs, how difficult it was to not only I mean, the fact that there isn't one store that you could go to, you know, one auction house where everything is like, but the funny thing is I found it very difficult at the beginning, but then when I wanted to go and buy something, it was like can't do it a little bit. But then actually traveling to another zone and picking up that item from that guild and everything else had its own special, I don't know, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass on one side. On the other side of things is like almost like a role-playing kind of aspect, and just as an MMO I actually found it quite a different experience that was actually quite not rewarding, but just it was just cool, just like I'm going to another zone. But then at the same time when I had to type the thing in, it was like if I didn't type it, that had to be exactly correct, and sometimes it just felt like it didn't work. So it was like a lot of these systems that they kind of feels like they're just refining it, they're improving it for the new player, whether or not it's on PC or a console, and that's very important.
They've actually been doing that for quite a while. Like basically since launch, they've been refining. Like if you look at what we had at launch compared to what we have now, it's not. It almost doesn't even seem like the same game. Yeah. They just keep doing some very nice quality of life improvement as we go on. That's
the thing, isn't it? I mean, and especially you guys obviously probably get this every day as it is, but especially as a new streamer, I will still classify myself as a newer ESO streamer because it's been less than a year. But you know, I get other people from other content that I do stream coming in and saying, "This was awful in beta. This was awful in launch. Why are you playing it?" And instantly I've got the script in my head of just everything that's changed, and I'm like, you know that game you played back then.
I did play it back then, and I never thought it was awful. I felt like it got an unfair review from some content creators who used the controversy and the negativity to drive their own views.
Huge views.
Definitely.
The reality is I mean, I've loved it. I played it, but like many new MMOs, I just like a lot of players who are really into these games. You hit that end game glut of there's just a lack of content to do when you get there, and then you hit that sort of artificial wall where they add in things to slow you down and makes it sort of monotonous with the veteran ranks, and every time you want to make an alt you had to level that all the way through the veteran ranks, and so I just you would get bored after about 6 months of really hitting it hard, and you would take a break for a while, because like every MMO, you're really talking about it takes multiple years to build up enough content and to build up the game, because the word massive is not lip service. So a massively multiplayer online game takes a time to truly. So I feel like it was a great game all the way along. It's just finally hit its stride now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
they keep adding those improvements.
Right. So now it's a full game. It's fully realized. It's at a full sprint right now. And we, now everybody's like, holy crap, where did this come from? And it's like, no, you just watched Angry Joe on YouTube and you believed what he said, hook, line, and sinker. And you didn't actually explore the game yourself and find out that it really is a good game. I'm just saying,
That's the thing.
His review is
that's
very detrimental to the game.
Oh, totally, 100%. Like one content creator that's big enough, like it's just like Fallout 76 right now, right? I'm so triggered. Like it's like Fallout 76 right now. The game isn't bad. No, it's actually a very fun game. But the problem is you can milk it for viewership. Like even with like a recent video I uploaded, and I even put in quotes and stuff, and the description stuff was all just a big joke. Fallout 76 is dead. The amount of comments and negativity you get. They didn't watch the video. The video was all positive. But the problem is people just take the first anything and they just run with it. And that's why the negative people so much more, because the positive people, what are they doing? They're out there having a good time playing the game, and everybody else is just, sitting online, just, soaking up that negativity. And that's why you hear the negativity so much more. So
I hate to interrupt. I just got a message. I think there's an emergency. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna mute my mic. I'll be right back. I sorry to interrupt. I gotta run. I may be back. I may be not.
Oh.
So
it's okay. Just do what you need to do, my man.
Yep.
Do what you need to do.
Okay, thanks.
It's all good.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's when, like you say, people like to jump on stuff, and that's kind of the way it is, isn't it? I mean, it's unfortunate, but you just got to try it. As long as people, the thing is we could get into some politics here, right? But as a people, especially in 2019, we have a tendency to follow the popular people's opinion and believe it without even trying the thing. One thing that was definitely an issue with Elder Scrolls Online is the release was the combat. So anyone that was into combat massively, there was a disconnect for me specifically personally in things like hitting an enemy, feeling that connection, also feeling connected to the world. There was something about that, but the story was very, very good. Everything was there. The voice acting was just beautiful. And now, like coming back last year, I was just like, this is just a completely different game now. Like it just feels even just by changing that one thing, like the combat for me was enough to bring me back. It was. They
did a lot of tweaking with the combat animations. I remember early on they had almost every patch they were trying something, and they would improve, and then they would change something, and everyone would be like, no, go back to what you were doing before. And then so they'd go back, and it just like Ninja said, it just takes time for this stuff to sort of develop. But even from, I'm not even kidding, the server stress test to early access, the stuff that they changed was enormous. They changed the entire tutorial within like a couple weeks because people didn't like it. And like the amount of work that they put in between, like, I would say February and April was probably like a year's worth of work that they somehow squeezed into those couple months. But by that point, because the beta was free, everyone was coming in trying it, and they're like, this sucks, and the servers are junk and all it, and then they just left, and they had just decided what they thought about the game at that point, which is pretty sad. Yeah.
I mean, it could have gone a complete other way, right? It could have gone like, it could have closed, it could be seeing I'm not going to compare it to WildStar because it's completely different size of companies and everything else. But, all the different MMOs that get to that 3 or 4 year period and they just have to stop. I mean, obviously you've got Bethesda, you've got, these are big companies involved. So it's not going to be a money issue probably. But, in terms of a revenue issue, then, things can get closed and that's the thing. And they really did. And this is why I became invested in the games over this last 10 months. It's just it feels like a lot of things got turned around. It's not just the actual game itself, but the community, I feel, is better now than it was even maybe just over I mean, I don't know when that changed, but it feels like only a year or so ago. maybe.
I would say honestly, the ESO community has always been pretty friendly in game. I'm still very new to Twitch.
Oh, so it's more of a
streaming,
Twitch thing than an in-game thing?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like the Twitch side of things, you'll always get people blowing in with, you know, the negative comments like ESO, isn't it still a terrible game or whatever? And it's like, I mean, that's just the Twitch side of things, because not everybody on Twitch is in the ESO fam, the community, all that kind of stuff, right? So you'll get people coming in like criticizing or whatever, but in game, I mean, you will not meet a better bunch of folks. Like, good people play that game, man. Yeah.
It is kind of ridiculous. Welcome back. I hope everything's okay.
Sorry about that, everybody.
If you do need to go, then please don't feel like you need to.
Well, let me just tell you real quick.
Sure.
So,
no, go for it.
Ninja Wife is home,
right?
And she got a phone call and a text at the same time on her iPhone. It caused her phone to completely freeze up and then call 911. So she can't do anything on the phone.
Oh my God.
And 911 answers. And she's like, there's no emergency. My phone won't shut off. I can't do anything. And now it's just calling numbers. And then I got a message on my phone that my wife had called 911 from her phone because I'm an emergency contact list.
Right.
And I'm all like, and then I hear Scooter crying in the other room, like crying. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So I'm like, I gotta go, guys. So I run upstairs.
We've got a different MMO going on,
everything's
right?
fine. My phone's just freaking out, and I'm just fighting with Scooter over something completely unrelated. But I walked out. I was like, "Is like the apocalypse happening? Like, what's going on?" So everything's fine. Ninja Wife's phone's just wigging out. So she's got my phone because 7 people on her emergency contact list are getting text messages right now saying that she called 911.
Oh, no.
And so they're all calling her phone right now, but she can't answer because her phone won't respond. So good times. Anyway, sorry about that, everybody.
Technology, everyone. Excellent.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
It's a good thing we haven't had any technical problems yet, isn't it, everyone?
Scared me though.
I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad everything's okay.
Yes.
I kind of just went on to a random, just rant about the general game, so we didn't miss anything there. So I think I did a really good job there. But anyway, we were just talking about the change in community, the change in the game, and different things which have how kind of Elder Scrolls really has in many different ways changed, but also obviously the decent stuff which has always been there, like the core game, the story, the questing, the atmosphere, the maps and everything else is obviously very, very awesome. Something we can all enjoy, I think, even if you just PvP. But yeah, so Elder Scrolls Online 2018 was like pretty much, haven't we got quotes of them saying like one of the best years in terms of numbers of players or something? There was some good numbers in terms of
good.
Like it was good, right? I mean, you know, in terms of content releases, in terms of story, in terms of, you know, it doesn't feel like they let slip. It feels like it almost feels like they're getting in their stride even more, and things are just going to increase this year. I mean, you've got dragons.
Yeah.
I mean
dragons and cats. Little cats.
I'm just stoked to see Remen because the capital of Elsweyr, Remen, is, you know, we've never gotten to see that, and it has Akaviri and Seishi, Sheichi, Taco Tuesday, or whatever you call those guys, influences. It's got Imperial influences. Like, it's this huge, like, you know, metropolis, like magic. I'm just so stoked to see it because it's a whole mixture of cultures and stuff and history that we've never gotten to see. So
yeah,
and the art team is so talented at Elder Scrolls Online. So
good.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard
it's gonna be amazing.
When I was watching the video back, and it was they were talking about the zones and how they want to base they look at influences of different areas and stuff. And obviously, when you think of the Khajiit, you think of you know, these deserty areas. You think of, you know, dry. You think of hot. Maybe, and, you know, maybe kind of also South America. But they were talking about more like North and Western Africa and Yemen and these kinds of places that are influences, and I've been to these places, so I'm excited to go into these kind of areas in a game, and just, you know, the influences and what they showed us in the video that they had was very, very awesome. I might try and bring that up, but in terms of I mean, Elsewhere. I mean, we might as well start moving on to that. But just as an update, we did go through Wrathstone. There is the awesome stuff that's coming with that. There's the zone guide. There's the guild trader UI update. The racial balance. There is the dungeons. There's Abnophon messing up massively because after the 2 dungeons, he takes you to the Hall of the Colossus or something like that. Halls of the Colossus, and then you witness something happening, which is where. It's not good generally, but it's good for us, the player, because we get to have an awesome experience of what occurs. Obviously, dragons. That's not a spoiler. I mean, if you don't know that, then, you might want to go and check out the website and start looking at stuff to do with Elder Scrolls
Online.
And the trailer.
The trailer.
But yeah, I mean, Elsewhere obviously is going to be the next thing. You can see there's a little bit of the digital content that you can kind of get in that. And in terms of chapter-wise, this is a lot bigger than Somerset, isn't it? Like in terms of not
It'll
just
probably be.
I mean,
Like world size or lore?
I mean, we've got a new everything. I mean, like new classes. You've got dragons. You've got. I mean, I guess lore. You've got all the changes that are leading up to this, which feels like and because it's a year storyline. So Elsewhere is kind of it feels like not the beginning, but it's kind of the middle. Of just this massive story that's being told over the years we've been told, but it's just like it's almost like I don't know. It feels like the expansion is a year full of content. It feels like all the DLCs are part of the expansion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right.
Like it's one thing that's just been spread out over a year. So in terms of Elsewhere, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. Actually, I've got so many notes, and I'm just looking at
full-size trial, as Das said in chat. Yeah, that's really hype.
Yeah.
Very
so
excited about that.
Rather than me going through everything, Ninja, what are you looking for? No, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to start with T. One thing that you are looking forward to the most, in Elsewhere specifically, is it that trial or is it anything else?
Honestly, it's actually to see the zone of Elsewhere, because
Nice.
if you ask me, I would want the next Elder Scrolls game to be in Elsewhere, but I know it's not going to happen. Bethesda's been kind of on this route with sticking with the more like not even the elven races at this point, but like the humanoid, like just human races.
Right.
And like ZeniMax has always been unafraid of tackling the craziest parts of the Elder Scrolls lore. Like we have Clockwork City in ESO. I never thought that you'd ever see Clockwork City where you could just walk through it. And ZeniMax did it, and I love Marwyn. Okay. my tag on Twitter is MarwynRP.
Yep.
But I always feel that they do their best work when they don't have another game to compare it to. So like Morrowind and like the Gold Coast kind of are taken from Oblivion and Test 3.
Because they don't have to, they can be creative on their own terms, is what you're saying. Right.
So like Orsinium, for example, that zone is amazing because they had like that's all them. They get all the credit for how amazing they put that together. Same with Somerset, and I think Elsewhere is gonna be even greater. And I'm so happy, by the way, that Lawrence was here to do Elsewhere, because I would have been really sad if he wasn't a part of the lore team with the big Khajiit zone.
Yeah. I mean that's awesome. So I mean yeah, I mean not having that thing and so you can truly witness their creativity, which is very strong, obviously, as we've seen in different areas, like you said. Anything else specifically, or is it mainly that? I mean, there's a lot. That's a lot of stuff in that zone, obviously. The Elfic, yeah. I was like, okay.
I'm so excited about
when you were coming on the show, I was like, I have to do some research about the Khajiit stuff that's coming in, otherwise I'm just gonna look like an idiot.
Right.
So, it has to be done.
I can explain.
Go for it. I mean,
chat,
feel
not everyone.
free. Go for it.
So Khajiit have different forms, even though there's only one type that we can play in game. They look anywhere from being a little house cat to looking almost like a Bosmer to looking like a giant battle cat tank.
How many
unit.
different Khajiit types are there? I think I found a number.
I can't remember. I think it's like 20.
It's about
like
17 apparently. Yeah, it's close to 20.
There's one for every phase of the moon, and depending on when they're born, that's what they will eventually take shape into.
Really?
So they all look rather similar. Yeah, they look rather similar when they're born, and then they could look like Kato and then turn into like almost an Imperial with little fuzz, like peach fuzz all over their body. Yeah, it's
so wait.
it's
So
pretty
this is all
awesome.
dependent on the moon. On the moon?
Yeah, the moon's too.
I'm Joan and Joe, bro. Come on.
Oh no, I know about Joan and Joe, but I didn't know. Like, I mean, I'm still learning all the things. This is awesome. I mean, I didn't know that.
So like, my character, I think all of the Khajiit and ESO, they've been very like back and forth on what they are, because every time I look it up, there's a different answer. I think they're Cathay Khajiit. But I play mine as a Suthay, which they would look very similar, just their size difference would be it. Suthay would be very short, and Cathay Wrath would be really, really tall, like Nord Altmer sized tall.
Wow.
So
I'm learning things. I mean, I know chat's learning some things now as well, apparently. So that's good.
You play a Cathay, yeah.
Okay, no, maybe I need to think about getting it. I've still not.
Somebody asked if they take baths.
Also, and they have little outfits, right, in the actual the small house cats, and they talk, right? They talk and they have small little outfits.
Yeah, so the way Khajiit are is, even though they all look different, they all have the same intelligence. They like the house cat is just a smaller version of like the Khajiit we see in game. So I'm really excited to see how they interpret them and how they're gonna communicate with us, because they can't technically speak anything other than Tagra. So we'll see if they shuffle things around lore wise with that, but I'm really excited.
Magical house cats with hats.
That's right, exactly.
Yes, they have an affinity for magic, which is awesome.
Right. That's the thing I saw as well. Yeah, the magic affinity. So that's good. Okay, so then obviously that helps. You know, Magicka coming in for Khajiit a lot more as well. So awesome.
Yes.
Kev, do it. What
personally? I'm really excited for the Munchkin Khajiits. Not a lot of you have heard of them, but
wait, what is this a real thing? Are you making it up? I'm just gonna pause the video as well. There is a video playing above us of the different outfits that the cats are wearing. So I'm just gonna leave that up there for a sec. This is why I wanted to include video, so I could just pause it during random moments like this. But yeah, sorry, carry on, dude. Is this a real thing, or are you making this up?
No, I was totally messing with you. No,
you have a responsibility as a content creator to tell me the truth about everything. Oh, God.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like the dragons come into ESO. Like, and I thought, like, kind of, well, you know, all the data mines, all that kind of stuff, kind of came out with it. I was like, okay, like, how are they actually going to portray these guys? Because like there was like I personally think that there'd be like a right way to do it and a really, really bad way to do it. And after I saw how they had done it, I was like, oh, this is the right way. Like they know what they're doing. And like I feel as though sometimes like games will lack enemies or just in general characters and like throw it under the bus. Destiny has milked the same character design. There's a new ancient enemy. It's the same enemy, but they're totally completely
they're more ancient than the other ancient.
Yeah, they're more ancient. They colored this one blue. Like
yes, the green and yellow ones have been destroyed. These ones are wearing Armani. The last ones were just wearing Levi's. We upgraded you fashion.
Instead of Levi's, they're wearing denim. Like, it's awful. And I feel like video games these days, they just don't ever entertain the fact that, like, you know what, people like diversity amongst what they're involved with, and like having like Elsweyr, an entire area involved with one specific character design or whatever. I think that's awesome, because without that, a zone can feel very much like, okay, this is just a green shade 2.0, right? Like, you don't have like that feeling of like there's something so massive going on there. So that's why, like, with like Elsweyr, they've got dragons that are just being introduced into the region, and that alone gives so much like of a depth to an area, and I find that is
dragons do bring depth. That's true.
They bring a little
they bring a little bit of fire, you know,
a little fire, a little bit on the side.
I mean, maybe they won't bring fire. I don't know. I can't remember.
It's a dragon, so if they don't
bring fire, we'll be disappointed. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like they've got. I think that Elsweyr, like, not only they're going so much more the Khajiit lore, like at the same time the dragons just being in the zone and looking the way they do. I think that is probably one of the most enticing things that players are gonna absolutely love about a zone, just having like a specific thing that is so enticing about a zone, and that when you go there, I mean, that's what you get, right? You get friggin' dragons. Like, there's not much more than that, right? So that's right. Great.
I mean,
cool.
It sounds like
Look how pretty he is.
Yeah, I just paused.
Yeah, look at that guy.
Dragons. Which one is this? There's one of them is Is it Caligranti?
Kermit, I believe is his name you're looking for.
Okay, right. Kermit, did you say? Jesus Christ! I'm just gonna believe everything Kevduit says now. I'm just gonna be like, so yeah, you know, when am I growing hair, dude? Is this something that's gonna happen? I don't know. But yeah, the dragons. I mean, in terms of, they were talking about, he was talking about events. I'm not sure if it was during the live stream or not, or some other stream, but they're talking about the events with the dragons and how there might be events in the zones. So I don't know if it's going to be like a world boss thing, or if it's going to be different events that are kind of a little bit more reminiscent of other MMOs which kind of occur. There is stuff in like Guild Wars 2, you know,
Warhammer
Online.
Question, isn't it?
Exactly, because there isn't really any specific dynamic kind of events that do occur in Elder Scrolls Online. There are a lot of MMOs. There's Anthem especially as well, which come out, which has those kind of things. There's Destiny. I mean, you know, you can class them as MMO in a different respect, but they definitely have those dynamic events that are kind of synonymous with modern day MMORPGs, and that might not necessarily appeal to Bethesda or Elder Scrolls Online, because obviously they go their own route. You know, they've still got the racial passives and everything else like that.
There's a whole PvP thing that they're doing now with actual events, which is what I've been suggesting for years. Like, I think that, like, even like Cyrodiil, as much fun as it is, I love Cyrodiil, it could get kind of bland just doing the same, you know, castle siege, defense, attack, you know, leveling up. There is nothing in PvP that entices PvE players to ever want to go over something that's so you know, awesome, something that just can occur. And that's why when they announced the fact that there's going to be these random events happening in Cyrodiil, I've talked about it for years. I'm like, this would be amazing. The fact that they're doing it, I think it's going to, like, to have such a massive reward at the end is probably one of the most enticing. You say reward and the PvE players will jump without hesitation, and I think that that's why you've got a lot of players that are going to want to jump over to PvP just for these random events. Random events anywhere in any area, they're enticing. Everybody rushes towards them, you know? There's something to gain out of it, right?
For sure. I mean, and that's kind of, they're bringing something in with with Elsweyr as well. Like, the kind of, we'll talk about that afterwards, because that's a very interesting thing they're kind of doing. I just want to ask, is there anything else that you're really, really looking forward to, Kevduit, a bit from Elsweyr, or is dragons are like your main kind of jam? Your dragons.
Dragons. Dragons and the PvP changes. PvP stuff, I think that's what I like, and I think that's the changes they're making are, it's going to be good. It's going to really help with the experience over there.
Okay. Awesome. Ninja, Elsweyr, things you're looking forward to. The most excitable, the thing when you were like, you know, I found out about Elsweyr, I found out all about all the stuff. This is the thing where I'm like, yes. I can't wait.
All the things that were already said. I mean,
Okay.
I don't really have one particular thing. I'm just really super stoked about. I think probably what I'm most excited about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I could dive into any one of the topics, whether it's the quality of life improvements that we see coming down. Necromancer, super excited about diving into different builds on that and seeing the ways. The way they're describing is they want it to be a class that is approachable but ultimately difficult to master, which was similar to how Warden was. Like Warden it's approachable, but to really make it sing, you really gotta, dive in and work to master making that class work. Sounds like they're trying to do the same thing with Necromancer. That's really enticing. Obviously a full trial. We've done a couple of mini trials now. Those are fun, but they lose their, luster very quickly, so a full trial to really, trial with dragons with multiple hard modes. I mean, we're talking that's some meaty, beefy content that we're going to be able to chew on for some time. So I'm super excited about that. Elsweyr, just the lore of it. We've, as a community, we've been Elder Scrolls at large. We've been wanting to see what Elsweyr is all about. It's this land that we've heard about and referenced to, but there's not a lot of details, which is great because that means the devs have this opportunity to really, play with it, which is how we have this opportunity for dragons. Because the as soon as the data mines got leaked and people started, there was a hint that dragons were coming. How are you going to see dragons in Elder Scrolls? Because of all the lore that we have, our understanding of dragons in it, they're supposedly gone, either in hiding or mostly extinct, where, we haven't had any reference to that. And, so is it a dragon break scenario? Is it, what's going on here? And, I asked that of Rich, and he's like, hey, this is Elsweyr, and there hasn't been a whole, it's kind of in this like isolated area, and a lot of people, unless you've been there, know much about Elsweyr's history. So
they can get away with a lot of stuff, probably.
Right, yeah. So there's this opportunity, and the thing about dragons is that, Tamriel is one continent on the planet of Nirn, right? So our experience has been stories of other places beyond Tamriel, but this is a world. It's not just Skyrim. It's not just Cyrodiil. It's even the continent itself isn't fully explored yet. So there's all kinds of opportunities for mystery. And then when you talk about the unreliable narrative tool that they use in here, so as the player, you're interacting with potentially unreliable narrators. So the characters are just as flawed as people are, and their recollections and their understanding of what happened and what's going on is their own, and it may be accurate or it may not. Sometimes, so I find all that fascinating and all that's wonderful. But I think the biggest thing that I'm most excited about all of it is when I package all of that up and I look at what's happening with the balance changes on the combat side, and I look at the shift in personnel that's going on over there. If I look at the vision that's happening with the content strategy moving forward, I think what I'm most excited about is looking at it and going, Elder Scrolls Online to me has arrived as boom, fully realized, full speed, all pistons firing, amazing opportunity to dive in and do a whole bunch of fun stuff. So as a content creator, that's amazing and exciting, and it means that we've got a lot of life left, a lot of things that, more excitement and more things to come. And so I think that's the thing I'm most excited about. It's just the state of the game after all of this makes me go, sweet. Yes, my favorite game, my favorite community, my favorite devs, all the things looks to be in a fantastic state. So that's, I think, ultimately my takeaway, what I'm most excited about at the end of the day.
I mean, that really resonated with me, what you just said about the continents and everything else, because I was thinking about WoW, and I was thinking about, other games where, after 5 years, you've at least gone to one or two, right? Other continents a lot of the time. And those zones have already been done. They're done and dusted. And like you say, we've got this one continent. If you go and look at, if you're in game right now and you press M, you can see, there's only really, half or just 2/3 of the map there on the continent that's been uncovered.
On one continent.
And one continent as well. And it's like, we go to other places, but those places, like Clockwork doesn't really count. And, it's just like, there are only smaller other little places within this area. It just is. There is so much potential, and I think you're very right about that. Like, this year is only going to be, and like T said as well, with the amount of creativity that they can bring to the game themselves, we're going to see them develop a lot more as, you know, just devs, just like community teams and everything else. Because I feel like, and you're right about this, in every kind of area on the game, community, live streams, which we had a funny conversation about before we started, which is rather enjoyable, but also just everything, you know. I mean, even though drops, there's, you know, drops are a thing, and obviously drops are live right now, and there is that kind of thing where, you know, it brings people into the game, and a small percentage of people will stay. It's another way of them promoting the game and giving stuff out for free. It's a good idea. Other people aren't doing this stuff. It brings viewership. Inevitably, it brings people into the game. Even if it's 1 out of 1,000, there's still that one person that was not there before, and that's beneficial. And it will always be beneficial, and any argument against that, you know, we all have our thoughts and feelings, and I respect that. It's absolutely fine, but that is a logical fact of the matter, and is a thing. As long as we, as content creators, we don't rely upon that thing, and I don't think any of us do, then that's a very important thing for us to remember, but that's our thing. And it helps a lot. That's one thing. And also just the change around of the community, things like going to Twitch and having that show. I mean, if they'd done it at, you know, the studios, would have been cool, would have been awesome, obviously, but being at Twitch is a big deal. It's on Twitch's platform at their studios, doing this show about everything throughout the year, having a presenter from Twitch makes it even more of a big deal. I mean, Rich, you know, poor Rich, he had to get the tattoo, didn't he? Like, literally just before the show started.
Before he even started.
Poor guy.
We were all sitting in the studio looking through the glass at him like, haha, he doesn't even know yet. He has a tattoo already.
Yeah, he didn't know, did he? Oh
no, we were watching the numbers because, you know, the Twitch studios there's the studio where you can see where on the stream, and then there's like I mean, it's not a huge room, but, you know, there's the cameras and the lights riggings, and then there's a big glass, you know, bay window, so that then the producer room where all of the production happens, and they've got, you know, full production with all the mixers and a whole audio bay, and, you know, all, you know, multiple decks and all this crazy stuff going on. Yeah. It was so much fun. Like, my mind was like, but, you know, so we're watching and making faces at them, and with a dry erase marker drawing, you know, pictures on the glass, and, you know, trying to get them to crack. And
oh really? You were all there in the background?
Yeah.
You need
relatively
like
quickly we realized he was going to get a tattoo, and we're like, he doesn't even know yet. Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, they gave us rewards as well, like the little pet and stuff like that. I mean, that kind of content is really important. There isn't really many games that I can say right now where, you know, I am logging in most days at the moment just to make sure I'm maxing my event tickets for the next event. I mean, in itself, like that in my head, like that is its own. I mean, obviously I'm playing the game anyway, but like I know people that are just logging into the game to just do the event because they're looking forward to get to that mount. And whether or not that's a good or a bad thing, you know, I think it's a good thing because that player is still playing the content, and at the same time they're witnessing everything else that's going on. You know, the announcements when you go into the game, Elsweyr is here, all these different things are happening. They're always trying to keep players engaged and coming back, and that is one thing I think is very important for an MMORPG, because you need that consistency. Because you can be casual, you know, and you can come back for the story ever so often. And there are players like that. But you need that consistency for vets, for new players that really do like to delve into an MMO in its fullest. And all these things are so very important. I think this year, I mean, you know, they were saying 2018 has some of the best numbers. I think 2019 is going to trash all over them. I think it's going to be crazy. I mean, you know, you've got dragons, you've got house cats that can talk wearing costumes. I mean, what the hell else is gonna
that'll sell
that?
it?
I mean, you're pretty good there, right? I mean, then just like there is more stuff. I know there's definitely more stuff.
There's a bunch more stuff. Like it's really, and we don't even know. There's more dungeons in a whole story zone, and we don't even know. I mean, we have we have the conflict set up with Wrathstone, so now we know.
Right.
You know, we're going to find out what it is. Then we have the actual full-blown act in the middle of with the chapter of like the full-on conflict, and then we're going to have probably the dilemma and ultimately some sort of resolution at the end. And holy crap, you know, like, so there's already all this content coming already, and we don't even know what's happening on the other side. And that amazing trailer is at least going to be 2, maybe 3 parts. So there's like that epic trailer. There's more to be coming. Yeah. So I'm so stoked.
Like, you got Necromancer, talking house cat. I mean,
yeah,
Necromancer.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're on the internet. There's only one winner.
Oh god, that's true. That's true. Okay, so Richie, he mentioned the overarching story, Richard Lambert, when he was at Twitch. This was kind of almost a quote. It's not word for word. He said, Imperials invading Elsweyr with a necromantic army and dragons running rampant over Elsweyr, and you, as the player, helping the Khajiit to understand why they're attacking, obviously, to help them out.
Hashtag Imperials are the bad guys.
You watch your mouth, Ninja.
So
everything in Elder Scrolls Online is like because an Imperial did something. Let's just.
I do like the whole.
This is not new.
That's it. I mean, I love
right. I mean, it's just further underscoring the already known fact that Imperials are evil.
They're bringing this a new. I mean, they're pretty much responsible for this new race. So you got to love them a little bit, right?
All of the calamities and travesties and horrible crap that's happened, it always goes back to the Imperials every time, every dang time.
I remember that.
And the Tharns. Holy crap, man!
Named Kevduit.
What a dysfunctional family.
Relate. That's
worse than the Kardashians.
Okay, so we have the Necromancer. So let's dive a little bit into Necros. That is one of the. Funnily enough, from other games, I've told you the other games that I'm playing, Necromancer is a big pull for a lot of players outside of Elder Scrolls Online. It is probably one of the biggest pulls, actually. You know, knowing that they may know Elder Scrolls lore and everything about dragons and the Khajiit and everything else, but the main feedback I get from players that haven't played Elder Scrolls Online is that the main reason they want to play Elder Scrolls Online with the expansion, with the chapter, is the Necro. And like, what is it going to be? Like, you know, I mean, in Elder Scrolls Online, when you are a class, you can be a DPS, you can be a healer, you can be a tank. You know, you can do these different roles. Whether or not they do that role successfully or well is another thing, but you have that possibility. Especially with the way, you know, you have weapons and everything else and knows your abilities and whatnot, and you've got your core abilities and your classes. Because there might be people here who are new to the game, and you know, are looking to play it, and Necro is a massive thing. How do you guys feel about Necro? Are you excited? Are you worried about, you know, maybe it being very, very powerful and pushing things out? Do you guys have any concerns, or are you just mega hyped for Necro?
I mean, Bone Colossus. So
and Kevduit's camera breaks when you do that.
What happened to Kevduit?
Why did you say that?
You broke Kev. You broke Kevduit.
Oh no!
I had to replace my battery because of you. I got these lines again here.
It's okay. Don't go.
A line again.
It's
pro
streamer.
Pro streamer. Lining up the attack. Lining up. Keep your horizon straight.
It's the line of the Imperial.
The line of the Imperial. This is where I draw.
This is where I draw.
His jokes are like right here.
You should have that on every live stream now. This is where I draw the line, guys. You know, it's continual jokes about the line. Just get a little line, PNG. You know, you get.
Target acquired. Shoot.
Okay, Ninja, sorry. I don't know if I interrupted you then. I think it was the camera. So you were saying something, sorry, Ninja. Or have we got...
I'm just excited about the Bone Colossus and another flavor for tank.
Yeah.
Do we have an opportunity for a class here to dethrone the DK as the reigning champion tank? I'm very curious to see. Warden came close, but it didn't quite have enough oomph to really answer all of the tools that the DK has.
Right.
Will the Necro? I'm very, very interested to dive in and find that out.
So, what was the line called as well? I think I've got it here, but I don't know if this is the final. Is it called Bone Armor, or is it Bone Armor an ability, or is it a line inside?
Bone Colossus Transformation.
Okay, the Bone Colossus Transformation. There we go. I've got the transformation right there. So this is where I'm a little tiny bit like, you know what? I want to be a healing Necro Argonian, but then I can be a Bone Colossus Argonian. I guess I can still have that.
You know, this seems to me like so the Dragon Knight has Magma Armor, which is oh crap survivability ultimate. And there are certain fights where having magma to live through that fight's very useful. So this looks to me like the Necromancer's answer to magma armor. So, you know, the stuff hits the fan and it's that oh crap moment and the tank needs to stay up. You go Bone Colossus on the boss and, you know, you survive some crazy stuff. In PvP, you know, you harass and harangue and get people upset, and then you go Bone Colossus and stay alive long enough for all of your other glass cannons to pick people off. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities for this to be really fun to play with, and I'm super stoked about it. So I'm curious what other tools, because the past couple, the past few rounds of patches, the ZeniMax has stated as a goal, they're trying to normalize the idea that each class has a healing line, a DPS line, and a tanking line. Warden really personified that. It's very clear cut that you got your DPS, your healing, you know, and so I'm anticipating a similar track. So I'm very curious to see what sort of a toolkit you can put together for Necromancer. Is it going to be more like a niche off tank kind of scenario, or really can it truly compete with the Dragon Knight as a main tank, you know, steadfast choice? Very, very curious. Very, very excited about the possibilities. We'll see what happens. So I hope my expectations aren't so high and then I get all bummed out. We'll see.
Well, I think if you base it off of the past in terms of, you know, the Warden that was created, I mean, you know, again, this is before my time, but when I play the classes, because I have a Warden as my other, not main character, but my off main, or whatever that means. And you can see clearly the design differences. Like Templar is very much, you know, like you said, in terms of its roles, it's like I don't really feel like, I mean, I can be a DPS, and the DPS is probably very good, but it doesn't feel very DPS oriented. It feels like, you know, lesser abilities. I'm not too sure. And when I play a Warden, you know, when I'm a DPS, I feel like I'm inflicting pain. I'm definitely using completely different abilities, and obviously I am if I'm playing a DPS Templar, but I'm saying, you know, I feel like a damage dealer. Like I feel like that's my role specifically. I'm not doing some other little bits and pieces. But I think it will be. I mean, Necro seems to be, and in terms of Warden's design, I mean, hopefully, touching wood here again, just in case, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. But it does look interesting, and just even looking at the Bone Colossus image there, the fact that, you know, you can have a bony tail is pretty cool to me. I don't know.
Right?
I like that.
I mean,
that's why I want to be an Argonian. See, that is literally the reason.
A huge Bone Colossus Argonian. I mean, we're talking.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
you're gonna be pinching their cheek territory, like.
Gorgeous. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah.
So Kev is happy about the Necro as well. You're excited about the different things.
Oh yeah, I mean, even just the Bone Colossus. I mean, as long as it's at least 50 times taller than my normal character is, I mean, I'll play it.
Okay, wait. Okay, question. We're going back to Ninja, because I'll ask you at the end. What race Necro gonna make?
Well, obviously, I have an Argonian for sure. For sure. But I mean, I'm gonna have a dilemma because I have 4 Wardens. Magic DPS, a stamina DPS, a tank, and a healer, and I'm gonna definitely want to do the same thing with Necromancer, but I'm already full up on character slots. So, and it sounds like we're gonna get 1, maybe 2. So yeah, it sounds like another account.
Yikes.
Cough, cough.
Yeah.
Cough, cough. Leave it in the comments.
Here we go.
In YouTube. So, Kev, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I asked that question as well because you're going to get that same question. But yeah, I interrupted.
What I was saying? Oh,
I did. I'm rude. I'll leave now.
What was I saying?
You were talking about Bone Colossus. You want to be 50 times taller than your main character at the moment.
Yeah, minimum, at least. At least Dr. Disrespect's height, but the...
Right. 6'5" or something, right?
Yeah, he's a tall dude, man. He's a tall dude.
Yeah.
I think the class, personally, I didn't even play the game yet, and people want a Necromancer class. So now that this is finally coming out. I mean, it's one of the biggest incentives.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the Warden class was cool. I liked it, but this class to me, it speaks to me on a spiritual level. Like there's just literally like it's just super just so much potential with this class, and like damage dealing is going to be taken to, because Sorcerer didn't hit the mark for me with Magicka damage. I just felt like it was too basic. It didn't feel like it had the same, as a DPS, meaning like other things a little bit more so, but as DPS, I just felt like Sorc just felt lame. They were powerful, but they felt lame. And this guy looks like he could kick your butt, and you don't even stand a chance. Like I'm excited to test out the Necromancer. Really push the DPS in PvP. Make people wish they weren't around.
I'm looking forward to those videos already. I think.
Oh,
the Bone Colossus voice. Have you got a voice sorted for the Bone Colossus when you go into the Bone Colossus? Can you give us? I was
thinking a little bit high pitched.
Oh my god.
That actually might be quite hilarious.
Perfect.
Going for the Mike Tyson vibe. I got what you're saying. I got you. Throw a little lisp in there and.
Oh, some bitey. Okay, so which race? Yeah. Which race?
I'm a big boy now. I'm a big boy.
Deep self, high pitched necro.
Oh, you guys are
okay, we got it. Oh dear.
Which race?
Really mad. I fully expect a voiced Necromancer video now with that voice when the time comes. Kevduit. I will be disappointed if we don't get that.
Very sad.
I am Nanny the Necromancer. Yeah. Necromancer Nanny, man.
Yeah.
Series, man. Don't make Nanny angry,
right?
Great.
That's perfect.
No, for race, I mean, Necromancer. I was getting back to what you asked.
We're talking about the voice at the moment, so we can't go through every single different thing. So what kind of legs do you want?
Yeah, like Magicka damage is obviously where it's going to be at with the guy, because I mean, like Necromancer, you just kind of got to play the part. I mean, I'd love to play stamina based if it permits, because that's with the racial passives. I think it could work. You'd have to work around a couple of the kinks, but I mean, in the end, dual wield Necromancer or something like that would be a lot of fun. If in that case, definitely Redguard, to try to give that a go, or Khajiit. But other than that, doing a high elf or a dark elf would also be fun to push towards that Magicka damage side. But
for sure,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
T, Necro, how you feel? You're excited?
So
not at all. You're just like, you're not going to play it.
One class, really.
Right. Okay. No. That's fine. That's good.
The last 5 years. Oh, I do. I have played Sorc healers and PvP and stuff, but I mean, Nightblade is where my heart lies.
So Necro
I've never even leveled a warden yet.
Right, that's fine. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, you play the game you want to play.
I also wasn't streaming back then.
Right.
And now I'm doing all sorts of stuff I never would have done before I started streaming. So I don't know, maybe
you might pop
Necro T. We'll see.
It'll be a Khajiit, right?
Necro T.
Yeah, all my characters are basically like this. T with lightning. Tea.
I mean, I don't need to
Tea
ask
that
you
can
the rest
hide
of it.
well.
Tea that can hide well.
Tea with a net, you know, like
Tea with an etch is the best.
I need to think of the. So I've got a
we'll
necromancer.
see. We'll see.
I've got a necromancer in another game, and I call it Jebro, like Jebro. You know, it's a very
Check
clever play on words. Yeah, I can see you guys off that one. I'm going to move on very, very quickly. So having a look at some of the abilities, and I mean, I'm on the Elementalist. Are these the names of the actual lions? I'm not sure. My research is completely. This is what we got from the live stream anyway. On most of the websites that I've been to. I don't know if I've missed any information, which anyone can obviously correct me on, but I've just gone to the bone. I believe, is bone armor the actual line? One of the
that's
lines?
the tank line of skills.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
See,
that's
bone
right.
armor, which is like a shield. You got impaling spikes, which is like your root. So igneous shield will be your bone armor equivalent on a DK. Impaling spikes would be your talons. You got taste of life, which looks like a life steal kind of heal thing. Not exactly sure what bone fetish is. That sounds interesting, but we don't kink shame on this show, so whatever you got,
Is that,
it's
is
fine.
that a totem? Is that a totem or something, or is it like an area kind of?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, or I'm not sure. It might be a resurrect.
It could be.
Maybe a
It's definitely corpse oriented.
maybe a taunt. Right? I don't, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
and then we have
that's
consume,
true.
which looks like like you feed off dead bodies. Maybe for resources as a sustain. And then of course you got bone Colossus transformation, which is like
cool.
magma armor. So
is that
it's
actual
interesting.
size? Like the little
I hope
character?
so.
Yeah,
hope
that's
so.
pretty cool.
Get to his priorities.
He's
He's just like, yeah, guys. So this is not 50 times bigger than my main character, but it's okay.
I will make do, but
so if you are
That's
new,
still pretty good.
it's like 2 times the size.
he's very sparkly.
Is that a problem?
No, I mean, I think the sparklier, the better,
It means,
just-
if the fashion part of it.
Few more glow effects.
Yeah, no more glow effects. Yeah, exactly. More the merrier.
So if anyone in chat is not sure what we're talking about, and Ninja mentioned it very briefly as well, is the fact that you can use corpses, and this goes for new players, old players, vets coming back to the game. A lot of you guys in chat on Twitch know what we're talking about, but obviously people who are watching the VOD or listen to wherever I put this in the end won't know what we're talking about. And we do have images, so I would encourage you to go to the right places to look at the images for this. We're looking at the bone line, armor line for Necro, and of course these things could change. It's still not out. But you can use corpses as resources to do extra, as far as what they've told us. People might know other things as well. Do more damage, healing, something in tanking, as Ninja kind of mentioned there. It could be used specifically for a taunt or whatever. Corpses could be your resource. So is there a worry that there might be too much of a reliance upon corpses to be extra powerful, or do you think they wouldn't do that, and it would they're going to be quite strong anyway, but it's just that those corpses are just going to empower them even more? Is there a worry about that?
I'm definitely curious about that, because what do you do at the beginning of a fight when there are no corpses and you need to be ready to go? So that that's going to be a tough one for the balance team to figure out. How do you make it so that you're not already overpowered and then you start getting over the top because there's corpses now to further make it. Looking at the diagram here, like bone fetish, maybe that's almost, if you look at the shield that's around him, it could be similar to Ice Fortress on the Warden that buffs in mitigation.
Could it be a
kind
producer
of thing
of corpses? Could there be an ability which produces corpses, like a couple of corpses?
Maybe. Oh man, maybe you throw that sucker down.
Kill things. Yeah.
And that creates some dead bodies for you to then do your other abilities for in the absence of corpses.
There's centipedes on the ground. I could have an army of centipedes.
Right?
Make it happen.
I'd run away from an army of
Can
centipedes.
you imagine all the spiders and creepy crawlies just
I mean,
Oh man,
rats,
I am ready for this. Whew.
It sounds
rats,
like
frogs.
Yeah.
Frogs,
Yeah.
I can see it.
torch bugs.
Yeah.
Torch bug, necromantic torch bugs. I do have images. Make sure, please, that we get the necro torch bug pet code giveaways will be coming out. Hopefully, maybe with Elsweyr. There's going to be they're even more rare, you know. It does look very awesome. I mean, this is one of the things I'm hyped
Or
up
more
for.
common.
Yeah, or more common as well.
That's good.
I am really excited for Necro. I mean, the whole using the corpse thing, because with Templar, I can't remember the ability now, but when you gain magic recovery, health and whatnot, and you use the bodies on the floor, and you've got those beams that kind of come out from you, I'm still abilities and everything else again. I can't remember the ability. But in PvP specifically, it's awesome because you get off that initial fight. If you win that honor, is it called Honor of the Dead? Okay, cool. You get that ramp up, you know, and I feel that's what kind of Necro is going to be like in PvP, for example. Those corpses start to pile up. You're just going to get these bone colossuses and stuff just running forward. It's just going to be epic. It's going to be so fun. And it's just going to be like, I can imagine Cyrodiil and launch is just going to be hilarious.
All necromancers. All necromancers.
With those random drops.
Yeah. They should just enable it first day. Just be like, you have to be a Necro. And just everyone has to have Bone Colossus Elite.
Well, that was the Warden, man. That was the Warden. Remember PvP when the Warden came out? It was subterranean assaults. Probably could have crashed the server. Like it was, everywhere you ran, just hordes of them. You couldn't touch them. Like, nice. It was brutal. But
I can imagine that. Just
it was bad.
Just beetles going off everywhere all the time.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah.
Were there bears? Were there bear elite? Like,
yes,
were the bears
there were bears because people thought bears were effective, and it was a mess. It was a glorious, gory mess.
Amazing. The chonk sound that bears make when they attack you drives me nuts.
I don't like them.
Every time, if you get a bear on you, like in BGs or in Cyrodiil, and you just hear this like chonk, chonk, chonk over and over as the bear. It literally sounds like chonk every single time.
Literally always behind me on my butt. It's like just like chewing. I was just like, dude, seriously. All right, I told you to go away.
Leave me alone, bear.
Oh god, don't start with the bear thing. I remember your stream the other day when there was a bear standing on the thing when you were going to try and
bears, man.
It's like freaking bears. And then someone else tweeted it last night. I was just like, oh god, it's so true.
I have 4 wardens and not one of them runs that freaking bear. Heck the bears.
Number one warden bears.
No. Heck the bears.
Amazing. So I'm having a look at Elementalists now, or whatever it's going to be called, if it's not called that. There's some interesting abilities there as well. Yeah, of course. And there's this bone dragon breath thing.
That's gonna be, if that's the scale of the dragon that comes up and fries things.
Oh. Yes.
Then I love life, basically. I mean, that's pretty epic. That is cool.
Yeah. Like, I'm just breathing on that guy.
Right?
I think he's
it's gonna be sweet.
I mean, let's go through them and see what we think these, you know, because it's all well and good, you know. We will talk about it on our own streams, but to have this discussion with people that we can talk to is always really nice. So Burning Skull just looks like a projectile that does maybe damage over time or something. I'm not too sure. I mean,
skeleton bomber.
Skeletal mage. Now this is the one thing actually they mentioned in the cast at Twitch, that the skeletal warriors or mages that you produce are more like kind of things which are thrown out. They're not really like permanent pets, like turrets. Yeah. They don't really walk around with you much. They kind of just, you know, do their job and then they kind of leave, or they die, you know, collapse or whatever. And that skeletal mage, do you think these are going to be stationary things, or do you think they're going to walk around with you? Or
Well, if you look, skeleton mage is probably like a turret that like launches stuff. If you look at skeleton bomber, it looks like it's like a little skelly that runs at things and explodes.
Kamikaze kind of style, yeah.
New bomb class.
Sorry,
It
what's
looks
that?
exciting.
Well,
it looks
I mean,
exciting,
that could be a new bomb class right there. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
element. I've totally gone mind blank, but the bomb ability, just plant a bomb on somebody and then chuck skeleton bombers at them.
Oh, damn! That looks like that could be PvP again. This is gonna be
That's where
interesting.
my mind is.
Yeah, no, I mean my mind went straight there as well. He's gonna be interesting. Okay, so what about Graveyard? Now, did they mention anything about Graveyard on the stream? I mean, Graveyard
Looks like an AOE.
Yeah, just an AOE kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could that be? Now that looks like something which could maybe bring corpses. Actually, Graveyard. I mean, Graveyard has corpses. Could be some AOE, brings up some bodies or something, or got some bodies in the ground.
Buff or something.
Yeah, or a buff. Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition, yeah, but definitely some kind of AOE. Well, ground target AOE maybe. Who knows? The Siphon Energy one is interesting.
I can't make out what they're trying to say with that illustration.
No, I don't know if that's a corpse on the floor. Or if that's just a puddle of something.
Like, is the guy shooting stuff out to the left and right? Or is the guy on the left shooting a thing into him and it's going to the thing? Or is the thing in the ground shooting stuff the other way? What is all of
I think it's like collecting energy from both people who are alive and people who are dead. That's my theory. One is on the ground.
Oh, look at that.
And one
Maybe a sustain kind of thing, perhaps.
Maybe
it's a charged attack kind of thing.
I mean, it's definitely like, this is Siphon, so you're taking something away from that. Looks like a corpse on the ground as well. So I'm saying, like, I'm thinking,
or maybe it's a support skill where you're taking energy from corpses and giving it to another player.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy looks like he's dying. I don't think.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Can't tell what's happening here.
The thing is, the guy on the floor is dead. So, I mean, if you draw a line between the people who are dead and alive, I mean, he's kind of glowing, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we can't see his face, and I don't think zooming in is going to help. Yeah. So we don't know whether or not he's happy or sad. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I, of all the ones, this is the one I'm least able to decipher what it is they're trying to say.
What do you think, chat? Or do you think anything? I'd love to know what chat think as well. The power of
the baby gravy.
I'm not sure whether I should rely on chat anymore.
I'm just like over here, like hoping my little Nightblade self, hoping that's just like taking energy from people, because that's basically why I play Nightblade.
Yeah, like you're taking the health and
like
and
the siphoning.
Yeah, that looks like
life.
some kind of power. When this is energy is a little bit different, isn't it? Because energy could be like health, it could be magicka, it could be stamina, it could be anything. So yeah, who knows? Looks cool though, but like you guys said, the Bone Dragon breath is just. I just want to see. I want to see that. I just want to. I want them to post it on on whatever YouTube channel or just on their Twitter, just an animation, and just be like, 5 seconds. Elsewhere. And the Bone Colossus standing in the background, maybe. With a necromantic torchbug pet. And then I'll be good. I mean, it looks pretty awesome. Again, a lot of damage there. It looks pretty epic.
They haven't. I did. If you look at how the departure of what Warden made with some of its mechanic changes compared to the other classes, I mean, it's conceivable that you could even have going back to the Elementalist. It's conceivable that Siphon Energy could be where you charge up to be able to then use skeletal mages and skeleton bombers. So you're using the Siphon Energy in order to get a certain stacking amount of a buff that then allows you to summon these other things. I mean, we don't know. They haven't broken it down. It's conceivable that it's we've never even seen a mechanic like this yet. You know what I'm saying? Where you're kind of like banking the ability to then cast your mages and your bombers and your whatnot. Perhaps. I don't know.
Right. So, okay. Interesting.
So you're grabbing energy from living and dead players to then build up, the power to then.
So when you're talking about a new resource,
yeah, like a completely new kind of mechanic we haven't seen yet.
I mean, why the hell not, right? I mean,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is just a conjecture. It's a possibility,
no, it's a really, really good point, actually. I think that would be great. I mean, part of the reason why I enjoy Elder Scrolls Online as well is this resource management. Because people say, in an MMO and WoW, you've got so many abilities. And then my first question is, okay, so guys, how many of those abilities do you use? And then it's like, all of my 6 abilities on my bar, even if it's just slotted there, there is some thought behind them. There's some thought process. There's always a choice of, if I go into PvP, I'm losing out sometimes on something because there's just not enough room sometimes for these abilities. But that is another part of the game which is so important that I just really, really enjoy. I can't do all of this stuff. So I just have to be very focused in my role, and I think that's very good. I think that's important. And with this, that just adds another element. Like if it was a new resource, and even if it was just a new resource which took over something, so if it took over, I don't know, stamina or magic or whatever, it could be cool. It could mean it could be difficult for new players to grasp if that was a thing. But it depends. It could be just a thing which ticks up.
You could go all the way that way where it places a resource, or it could just be like you can cast a skeletal mage, but it's a wimpy one. But if you use siphon energy and get enough stacks of this buff, you can then summon a skeletal mage that's ultra, boom, you know what I'm saying?
Wearing a hat and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yes. Exactly. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Blue hat.
It's okay. Forget that comment.
Totally. A blue hat is the highest one, yeah.
Exactly. It does the most damage, healing and whatnot. Right. I love that. I think that'd be a great idea. This is getting me hyped even more now.
Yeah, I have no idea if that's the case. It's just a thought that I was trying to figure out what the heck is this siphon energy do.
That's what I love. You're wrong. This kind of thing. So help me. Just confirmed it now, guys. So please go to the forums, quote him, and if he's wrong, then report his channel.
You just said this.
So it must be true.
He was at the Twitch thing.
Exactly. He was at Twitch.
He was at the Twitch thing. Confirmed.
Yes. Gives me all the knowledge.
Exactly. Okay, so the final one, soul mending. Now, I do realize we haven't kind of gone to 2 hours. I wanted to keep this to about 2 hours. So I just want to ask you guys: are you guys okay to continue for a bit, or do you have to go? It's not going to go for. It's not going to go for a massive amount of time, and just because we did start a little bit late, so I just wanted to make sure. There's no pressure at all.
We're good.
So just let me know.
Provided I get no more SOS emergencies on my phone, I should be good.
Good Lord, I just burnt the potatoes. That's me. I do that.
My favorite quote from chat, though, after I recanted that story, was somebody goes, "Siri, freak out everyone I know." That's literally like what it was.
Amazing. We've been going for just under, in terms of the actual us speaking, it's been about an hour and 45 minutes or so. God. And everyone in chat, I hope you're enjoying it as well. I'm kind of just really enjoying chatting to people about this because I've and other content creators because I haven't really got that opportunity yet, so it's good. Soul mending. So this is obviously the healer. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Anything here? So let's go through them left to right, starting from the top. So mend flesh. Is that just an AoE heal, you think?
Yeah.
Over time?
That's what it looks like.
Mend flesh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cryptic.
It's not really, is it? T, anything you can add?
I'm just thinking about how I wouldn't trust a necromancer to heal me.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
They just like patch you up with some like rotten flesh and be like,
you realize I'm going to be a healer,
I'll finish you off.
I'm just saying.
Good Lord. Okay, so guys, when this releases, you have to make sure me and Tia are in the same dungeon group together. We're going to do a close stream. I'm going to heal her.
Please.
All right? It's going to happen.
No.
So then we've got, what is it? Summon Skeletal Mender. So this, again, is like cool. a turret, like you kind of saying, do you think?
A healing turret?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, in Guild Wars 2, I have a healing turret. It's an actual thing. And like,
It's cool.
It's just like, you know, it's essentially almost, it's kind of funny actually. It's kind of, I mean, I guess, is it just something that maybe pumps out healing, or you blow, you know, it comes up, it's a life energy and you blow it up and it gives you energy? I mean, I don't know.
Which one are we talking about? We're talking about
use that, like,
sorry, the skeletal
one
mender.
Healy ability where you raise your staff. Oh god, I haven't played a healer in like 3 years.
Yeah.
That one ability where you raise your staff in the air and then like
That's all healing abilities, T. All
like,
healing. You just wave your staff in the air. And...
The one like you don't have to put it on the ground.
Oh, like Breath of Life?
Oh,
Stuff like that?
It's the resto ability.
Like mutagen or
yeah, mutagen. There you go. It's just like
the heal over time.
Jelly Boy that's just shooting out mutagen and then dies
mutagen, that's it.
a little bit later.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, imagine that if you combine if that siphon essence that we were talking about buffs up these little turret skeleton things, then you know where you'd have a mixture where you do the siphon energy and then you have a more powerful mender. I mean, not to keep playing on that thing, but I'm actually getting excited about that concept. So I'm going to be sad if it's not a thing.
I mean, what I find interesting is, pardon me, is if that is reliant upon the corpses.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm trying to think. In one way, it's very cool. In another way, it's like, again, the question we were asking earlier, like how dependent are you on corpses and can you produce them? I mean, it felt like, I mean, and I don't know this for sure, thinking about other classes and stuff like werewolves when they were brought in, because obviously I play a werewolf on my warden. It was something I really wanted to get into, and it felt like, you know, at different times and in boss fights that maybe potentially ads were brought into fights or different corpses that are kind of just sitting there, because in some fights in some dungeons there were actually just bodies that you can just feast on every so often that just pop up. And I don't know if that's something they just brought into the game because werewolf was brought in. Is that something that actually happened? Does anyone know if that's the case?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because I'm just wondering if anything would change elsewhere. Because they were talking about, because I think the presenter on the Twitch show asked, you know, is there going to be any changes that come in, because Necro is obviously Necro in cities and towns. You know, they're not really accepted that much, are they? I mean, it's kind of outlawed in some places. So, you know, yeah, I mean, it's like, and you're going to get in trouble if you pop an ability off, right? I mean, I want to see that. It's just, I think it's just going to be if you're in a, like, similar to if you attack a citizen or a guard or something, they're just going to come over and wreck you. But I mean, it'd be interesting.
Oh, wait a second.
What?
I think so the siphon energy had a similar drawing to the restoring tether.
Yeah.
Where you've got a caster and you've got a body in the middle and you've got a corpse on the ground. Okay. Siphon energy sounds like maybe you grab the energy from dead corpses and that attacks your target. This one looks like you're grabbing.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
And then the other one, the other healing one looks like you're taking the energy and healing a target. Perhaps.
I think that's what it is. I think you're right. Yeah. I think Well,
even with the other one, that could be a teammate in the center. You could be buff.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
the buff. That's true. Yeah. I think that could be very. Yeah, let's have a look at the difference between the two. I mean,
probably closer to what we're probably closer with that than I think my cockamamie made up idea on the fly. In terms of what these pictures mean.
I mean, this is what, you know, theory crafting.
Pictures tell us so much, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I like theory crafting anyway, you know. It's like it's a thing. It's enjoyable to talk about these things, and that's why these podcasts are awesome. Okay, so next one is gonna be release essence. It's an interesting, because it's obviously it's an AoE.
It looks Templar-y.
Yeah.
Right.
Big giant glowy thing.
Is it the corpses?
A huge AoE, but what are we releasing?
it says release essence, so you can see there's something on the floor that's kind of got this smoky, essencey stuff which is coming up from it. So it looks like maybe it's corpses, and you take the essence, or you release their essence, and it gives you buffs because they kind of got that.
Or maybe the more corpses on the ground, the bigger the heal over time.
Yeah, I mean that could be it. That could be it.
Yeah, are those like dead things on the ground that are releasing that
I
light?
think so.
Speculating, yes, speculating.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to really think about like positioning and stuff when you're playing a necromancer or playing with a necromancer too.
Necro's just back there yelling, "Kill more things! I can't heal."
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, you know what, guys, we really need your help to do more damage, do more dots. You just got that guy screaming in the background. That'd be good. Yeah, but again, you know, something which can be interpreted in many different ways. And then there's the consume curse. Is that like a, oh good lord, consume curse?
Maybe a buff or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking about curse though as a word, you know, curse, it's like, that's obviously a negative thing. So whether or
Is
not
it like if you have a negative effect on you, it consumes it and turns it into some sort of buff?
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Purge or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Potentially. And then there's that resurrect. I mean, there is
Mass resurrect ultimate.
What could that be?
I mean, it clearly means cake and other things get brought into the game. But, I mean, there is no res, is there? There is no res. So you have to res your
individually. Yeah, this looks like an ultimate mass res. That's amazing.
There's not even a casted res, is there? You just go over to their body, you res them,
and you as long as you have soul gems, you can res somebody. Yep.
So like, what about that buff in the arena?
Sorry, what did you say, Kevduit? Sorry.
The arena buff where you could run up to the thing and tap it and it just reses all your teammates.
Right. Yeah. In Black Rose Prison.
Yeah. Which would make that ultimate not as great in that prison. But I mean,
yeah, this seems like it might be a sort of a very situational ult.
Yeah.
Pug dungeon ult.
You usually don't want to be dead.
Pug dungeon.
This is the pug dungeon ult. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Or the BG pug, for the pug BG group as well.
Right, yeah,
Give you
yeah,
another
exactly.
fighting chance. I mean, see, the interesting thing, the thing that I find interesting about this ult specifically is if you resurrect your team, and there won't obviously be those corpses there. So maybe, you know, there's a person there and you kind of have to weigh it up. They respawn, like in PvP, they respawn and they come back into the map in like 15, 20 seconds or whatever. Or do you res them, or do you use that corpse as a resource? Like, can you use the resource of their corpse, then res them? Is that possible? Because I think that's kind of one of the interesting parts of the game. Because I'm not too sure.
Or do you collect other players as part of your army and now they are your zombie?
Yes.
Forever.
They, in fact, it deletes their account from their computer.
Yes, and then it becomes yours.
Oh, see, now this is how you want to get extra character slots. I got it. Okay.
Bang rush.
Okay, I understand. Awesome. Well, I mean, again, it's another. I just think it's a really interesting group of abilities that can open up a lot of things, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered, really, especially just from us sitting here, let alone the rest of the community. As Cypher said it correctly, yeah, it's more speculation than anything else.
Yeah, but, I mean, all we have is a few descriptions from the devs and some pictures. So
yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, it's not much else we can do. But yeah, no, fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. And it's not that far away, really. I mean, June, we're already in almost March, and we got the first DLC coming out. It's around the corner. It's really not that far away.
3 months. 3 months and 3 days.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Panic.
Panic. Oh, good lord. Why?
Next couple months are gonna be really busy.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Okay, right.
It's gonna be.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, because obviously, especially as streamers, content creators, YouTube's, all the things.
No more taking off stream because you're tired, guys.
I mean, I don't
We'll always be tired, so
Oh, you just need more tea. The tea. You just need bigger cups, like those brilliant people.
that makes me tired.
Slip some monster in there.
Put some monster in your tea.
Hey, I had a
G
monster
Fuel.
tea the other day.
tea.
I did. I'm not even kidding. They have a
Yeah.
dragon. I was like, I need to try this, and she's like, okay. And she went and got me one. And it wasn't bad. There's no like carbonation at all, which kind of took me off guard. But wasn't
Yes, they had that at TwitchCon. I think they had that
Maybe.
at TwitchCon for free in some dark.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
some dark corner.
I was like, guys, this is
Well, they had
monster.
these like tubs in various areas, but with no real description as to what they were, and you're all
You
like,
can't get this anywhere else. Trust me.
That's probably a good idea. Wow, my stomach is rumbling like anything. Okay, so whoa, it's just really loud. I'm sorry if anyone heard that. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the rest of what we're just looking at. So, anyone want to bring up anything else about Necro at all that they're really interested in? Their lore specifically, how you might be introduced in terms of them coming into the game. You know, you're a Necro. I mean, where have you come from? Are you? You know,
yeah, that's like the World of Warcraft thing. How they had like the pre-storyline for the Death Knights,
right?
Thing, to explain how you get to play as a Death Knight.
Yeah,
I'm curious, because Elder Scrolls doesn't really have a thing like that is like you have a starter quest for the new chapter. So like in Somerset, you get launched and you make a new tune. If you're a new player, you get launched into Somerset, and it kind of gives you this pre-tutorial series of quests to kind of explain what's going on in Somerset. At least get things introduced and get it going. I'm curious if this is going to be this new element that they haven't mentioned yet, that if you do roll a Necromancer, you get a slightly different new zone quest that other classes don't get. That'd be very interesting to see, so that they can help you understand. I mean, the Elsweyr is getting attacked by an evil Imperial necromantic army, and yet you are a Necromancer. So like, how do you explain that?
You
know what I mean?
Slides and stuff like that, maybe.
Well,
yeah.
Necromancers who are smart keep their mouths shut about being necromancers.
Well, there's that.
And they've already told us that there's going to be some consequences for using abilities. So I think they're going with the kind of like similar with vampire and werewolf. It's like just not talked about. You don't say, well, I am a werewolf.
I want that voice line in the game right now.
NPCs might be able to tell that something's off by, like, very few, like maybe a handful, where they'll mention something off about it.
Or
but
accidentally raise someone.
I don't think they'll bring up that we are actually necromancers.
Interesting. There's a few ways.
That's a good point.
There is, I mean,
still, it doesn't answer the question. How did you end up fighting on the Alliance side versus being a Necromancer? Necromancer in the Imperial Army, right? I mean, maybe not.
Imperials. Sorry, Ranger.
Heckin' Imperials. Seriously, man.
Yeah, it's not like I don't think Necromancers have like a club where they're like, hey guys, and then we had the whole, like, what do you call it? Like with Manimarco and Worm Cult and stuff like that. They're probably like pretty displaced now, post all that stuff. Spoiler alert.
I like
First notes from the Necromancer Kiwanis. I'd like to open up a meeting with.
I like all the suggestions in chat and the ideas of this. It's like, I want to be able to tell the NPCs I kill. I'm a Necro now, you die. I think it's going to bring out a lot of personalities we've maybe never seen in Elder Scrolls community before, apparently.
It's going to be fun at a crafting station accidentally going Bone Colossus and then getting wrecked by guards. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be like 50 bone. Someone's going to make that video, Kevduit, where there's basically just like loads of something spawned in one area and you have to try and kill it. I mean, I think you've made some content like that before. I don't know, maybe you have. There must
if it involves killing, you've probably seen it on the channel. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, launch day, level up that Necro, Bone Colossus, everyone's Somerset, or somewhere really, really nice and picturesque. 200 of them, if you can do it in the same area, see if you can see what you can do. You know, it's not gonna be able to kill the guards, but it's gonna be funny. Someone's got to do that. If I don't see that on like a couple of days after launch, I'm gonna be very disappointed. So maybe I should do it, or at least Kevduit's got to do it. Otherwise, I'm sub to him. Or go and sub to him to make him do it. So yeah, there is that. Other stuff. Oh, something else. So going a little bit away from Necro, because we talked about it quite a lot. CP changes. They're not going to be upping CP, right?
Yep. For the foreseeable future. And they hinted at.
I just got to max CP like this week.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Congrats. Nice.
Very proud.
That's awesome.
You made it.
Forever.
So
I made it.
As a new player, I like that change. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, when I say change, I mean it's not a change. We don't know anything about the future, but what like other than Ninja said, you know, about raising it. But how do you guys feel? I'm not sure about Ninja's face right now, and in terms of his feelings about the CP change, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure about Ninja's faces. Like you know how you look at face and you're like, right, he likes this.
I applaud it. I mean, the CP creep has been going on for a long time.
Right.
And they're going to have to answer it at some point. And it sounds like they're finally like, okay, before it gets way out of hand, let's put a cap on it. And Rich even said publicly that perhaps they're going to be doing a CP review / overhaul in the future. No ETA, but it sounds like they're like, let's just cap it off at 810 for now.
Yeah.
This is just where it's at. And then at some point, perhaps later this year, probably more likely next year, we'll see a CP revamp. Was my guess.
I think it's especially for new players, the potential for new players that are coming in this year as well, even in the last year. You know, having that feeling of feeling underpowered, even if you are level 50, CP 160 with the gear, and then still feeling significantly underpowered compared to other people. It is a little bit of a. It put me off a little bit as I was leveling, not enough to throw me off the game. But it's definitely a thing for people where they're like, you know, I got to max level, now I get to do no.
Really, right, yeah. And really, even CP 160 is the max gear level, but until you are able to fully realize the red CP tree's bonuses to health and mitigation. You're still real squishy.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're talking 300, 350 CP before you actually start to feel like you're able to do veteran in-game content with any without being
one shot.
Constantly just like feeling like you're gonna get wrecked at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so
that's what that 100%. Resurrect skill is for Necro players again.
Yeah.
The bug dungeon.
I mean, at least you can't randomly queue for a DLC veteran dungeon as a veteran, 50. That used to be a thing.
Yeah,
and it was always like, oh boy, this is gonna, you're gonna get one shot by trash mobs. So
that was a thing.
That was a thing for a long time.
Okay, interesting.
And it wasn't the player's fault. They didn't, they just queued for a random dungeon, but then they would get shit on by the veteran players because they, all they did was queue for a random vet dungeon. Yeah. And the game doesn't really explain that. These DLC dungeons really are 300 CP plus. They are geared. Yeah. They are tuned towards that level of character. So a new player coming in, I'm vet, I can do vet dungeons now, and it's not even, the game isn't even real clear to say there's no benefit to doing vet dungeons yet until you get to CP 160, because all the gear that you get out of here nobody wants, and you're going to replace quickly anyway. So yeah, I mean they've done a pretty good job of tuning that up a little bit. I still think it could be a little bit more restrictive, just to help players, not to punish players, but to help players know that there's, until you get to CP 160, regular vet dungeons, no point in doing them, none whatsoever. You get no extra benefit for doing it. And then the version 2 dungeons, which they've already done, I would even go so far as to say, unless you port in directly, there's no with other players that are of the right level, there's no, you shouldn't even be going in there, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, it's just there's no benefit to doing it, and you're setting yourself up for misery and frustration, and that's not fun to a new player who doesn't know this yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know that normal dungeons existed until like 2 months after I started doing dungeons.
Really?
And I thought I was really bad at the game. I was like,
so you started dungeoning at 50?
Why am I getting wrecked all the time?
Well, it was before CP, so it was like, I think I was around BR 3 or 4.
Right.
And so that would be like CP, what, 130? I don't know. I think that would be it.
Interesting.
So
good changes then.
And then I found out normal dungeons existed, and they were so easy. I was like, oh, okay. This isn't
you
so
get
bad.
introduced quite nicely as a new player. Even if you're a high level player queuing with them, you just automatically play into that lower level dungeon. It's really good. Because we brought a ton of new people over from different games we were playing. Got them into a dungeon, they were like, that was fast, that was quick, it was easy. And they still got an essence, an idea of what exactly is going on, just the story, the graphics, the gameplay, and just how fun it was. And it was a really good introduction. Level 10s, bang, queue up, LFG, easy, and you get to go. That's what a lot of people I know, especially me as well, just doing that. And the amount of dungeons as well there are, and there's going to be 2 or 3 more this year. I mean, I'm pretty excited for that kind of content. Okay. Other things of note. Cadwell returns. John Cleese, people.
We get to find out his history, like why he's in, like what's his story, like why are you so weird, Cadwell?
Weird.
Yeah,
I mean, he's weirdly awesome, but he's weird.
Yeah.
Like, if you think, like, he's this, like, there's something special about Caldwell compared to other denizens of Cold Harbor. You know what I mean? So
he's got his own mind. Yeah.
There's something going on there, and they never explain it. And now I guess we get to find out. That's exciting. That's pretty cool.
It is weird, isn't it? Because he's like this being who is untouched by other people, but yet he can kind of come and go as he pleases. Like, he's almost stronger than like Mole Ball or whoever, because he just can do whatever he wants. Like, he is a little bit more of a higher being than we maybe realize.
I mean, I think he
even alludes to a couple things. Like, he references the Master Architect when you get towards the end of the Molag Bal storyline. And almost the way that he says it is almost like he knew him. So,
he isn't?
So, or is he? Right. That's where I was going. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, it's been like a minute since I've finished the main quest. Is he the one who, like, the Cadwell Silver? Is he the one who actually talks to you about that and sends you?
Yeah.
To do the other alliance. Yeah. So before, you used to not even be able to go to those alliance areas until you finish the main quest.
Yeah.
And it was like, they explained it as, if you landed in another area, how would things change?
Yep.
So he's obviously got some connection.
Guy's a wonderful character. He got me hooked on the game. In beta, he was the main reason why I kept kind of going, because I was like, I want to make sure I see this guy again. And then when I came back last year, it was just a pleasure to see. To be fair, it's a pleasure to see most of the characters again, especially the more humorous ones. But him specifically, I was just, fellow Englishman for a start. I was just like, I grew up on so many of the things that John Cleese was involved with. and there's some great English voice actors and actors in the game, and you know, as the big baddies as well, especially, and just to have him there, and also just how good the quality of voice acting in this game is just ridiculous anyway. So just having him come back is exciting. But yeah, that's a good. I mean, he's got to be special in some kind of way. I mean, he's coming back as a major role. John Cleese is coming back. I think Raz is going to be back, but not in a big role. Apparently, he's going to be more of a cameo kind of role.
Yeah, we get this new Chimera character that is obviously showcased in the trailer and immediately adored by the entire Elder Scrolls community. So looking forward to see how much they develop that.
Question about her
She's
then.
alright.
Is she so we see obviously in the trailer they're opening, is this the Halls of the Colossus, or is this something else where they've released another dragon? Is this the
that's the Halls of Colossus. That's where he unlocks it, and that's why that's not going to be the trial, because you know that's where the dragons were, and they leave, so there's nothing to do in the Halls of Colossus
I mean,
anymore.
you could do, but yeah, like you said, you'd just be kind of looking at stuff.
Yeah,
it'd be cool to go. I mean, like, you are able to go there, right? It says, I'm assuming this is going to be at the end of one of the dungeons, maybe. Depending on which
well, this is, we will probably get to, I'm assuming, see some of it, because we get to actually participate in this event after we're done with the Wrathstone dungeons as part of the quest story, they said. So I'm assuming we'll maybe get to go into the Halls of Colossus for a minute, or at least get a snapshot into it, perhaps. I don't know.
I'm wondering whether or not she's going to be, she must be there as well then, right? I mean, she must be. And then with him as well. Yeah.
I mean, because she has a name. So what we know about the player analogs is they don't have a name. So the Breton necromancer we see in the cart, and the redheaded high elf that we see in the Somerset trailer, and the big Nord dude with the cool armor, you know, those are the analogs of the players. They don't have a name. So this character has a name, which means that's not a representation of us. We will probably get to interact with Chimera in the game, I'm assuming.
Okay, so we're not actually going to have. Okay, so Argeir says the halls are in the south Elsweyr, so it would be instant out, as we only have the north of Elsweyr. Is that right? I mean, I have no idea. I don't actually know. That's quite specific. I don't know, but if the case, I would imagine that it would be an instance thing anyway, just because it would be something that couldn't really keep running through. It would be odd. It would kind of disturb the immersion. But yeah, definitely instance. Yeah, I would agree. I think it would be cool to make sure that you can only do that, or you can maybe not only witness that, if that's the case, because then you'd have to do a dungeon. I mean, you'd have to do a normal dungeon. I know people that just don't like to do dungeons, so it'd be interesting to find out how you do get to see that as a player. Whether or not you have to do the dungeon, you have to get the tablet parts, or you can just witness it in its own storyline, like we kind of been talking about as well. Interesting.
There's gonna be a prologue quest too, right? I think it was on the PTS. I didn't touch it though.
I didn't either. I wanted to experience it. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So that's cool. More stuff, more things. Guild Finder is going to be, I believe that is more Elsewhere related rather than Wrathstone, I'm pretty sure. So that's going to be quite cool to look at Elsewhere. I mean, finding a guild and advertising your guild to communities and saying, you know, our guild is specifically on, you know, we like this kind of chair and producing this chair. We are a special chair guild. You know, that would be nice for people to know, just in case they like building chairs in the game and furniture, or you get where I'm kind of going with this, you know, PvP guilds, Cyrodiil guilds, you know, all orc guilds. You can imagine Feng Rush's
chair guild hype.
That's going to be a thing now. Please spread that around everywhere. It's going to enable many things, you know, many different guilds can be created. The Bald only guild, I don't know, Khajiit only guild. Maybe T wants to create that. I'm not sure how she feels about other races in the game. You know, anything. I mean, a small.
My actual character doesn't actually like other Khajiit, so that's kind of.
Oh, your character doesn't like other Khajiits.
No, she was born in Morrowind. So she doesn't. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
She's one of
like,
those
okay.
cats.
So when you go back, not even back, when you go to Elsewhere, it's like a completely new thing for you.
Yeah, I'm super excited. She'd probably be like, ugh, Shadowland.
Are you gonna roleplay that?
I mean, probably. That's
Excellent.
what I.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm there for
And
sure.
She'll probably be grumpy.
Good stuff. Okay, so T's gonna roleplay being a grumpy Khajiit in Elsewhere.
Yeah.
So make sure you're there.
Grumpy cat.
Grumpy cat.
Excellent. So the other thing I'm really excited about is the big changes for PvP, Cyrodiil. The removal of the Imperial City from in Cyrodiil, so that will obviously. So if you don't know what's happening, so during Elsewhere, they've made some big decisions about PvP, because PvP, I think PvP is one of the sections in the game which is, especially as a newer player, I can see is very much under developed, not underdeveloped, but there's just not time sunk into that. And I think, you know, obviously with an Elder Scrolls story and with the game, with the way the game is and maybe the audience, there's always a reason why, you know, developers focus on different things. And PvP is probably needs a little bit of love. And one of the things is big ass lag in Cyrodiil in events and stuff. And in all honesty, it's not the worst I've ever experienced. I mean, you know, Guild Wars 2, WoW, Aeon, all these other games I played for many years are VR based because I was massively into Realm versus Realm. Elder Scrolls Online is actually not horrible as these other games, but obviously still something needs to be done. If you can do it, then awesome. Taking out the Imperial City from the middle of Cyrodiil is a really good idea, right?
Oh yeah, big time. It should hopefully increase the performance of the game in general. Hopefully, I mean, we don't know yet because it obviously hasn't been out with the player base running around destroying stuff. But I mean, anything to help the performance of Cyrodiil, I think any player would be happy to have, just because lag in when it gets competitive, lag becomes the biggest incentive to just not want to do something, right? Like Battlegrounds, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's true. And Battlegrounds, obviously, a lot smaller area, less people. It's always going to work relatively well, but I'd say relatively. I've had some problems, but not as bad as when I've been in Cyrodiil. But I've actually had like a good, even during the big events that have gone, the half year celebrate. What's it called? Mid-year Mayhem. I really loved that event. I think that's fantastic. I loved it so much. It just brought all these memories of Warhammer Online back into my mind, and it was just like taking keeps and knocking down gates and walls and, you know, just massive siege weaponry. Like, not many games still use that. You normally just go to the door, you hammer the door down, you go in, you kill the boss, and that's it. And you still do that in ESO, but in Cyrodiil, but there are more often than not actual, when you pull out like a trebuchet or a catapult, and they're just so epic, and it's just like, whoa. I remember the first day when I streamed the game, I was just like, my mouth was like this. I was like,
I love sieging. It's so fun. It's one of the reasons I love Cyrodiil.
And it brought that back in for, you know, for me specifically. It was really, really awesome. So hopefully that happens. But then there is this awesome artifact. I think, Richard, did he say artifacts? But they're weapons, right? That Shieldgraph, if I've saying that name and I'm brutally wrecked it, I'm very, very sorry. He's causing some mischief, right? And he's bringing these artifacts in that you can pick up.
Yeah, so the
Go for it.
Daedric princes all have like Daedric artifacts in lore, and so I guess we're gonna be seeing those in Cyrodiil.
I hope so. Be awesome. I mean, during Elsewhere. I mean, I think this is one of the images. I think I found this on the
that's the first
site.
one. Bullendrung.
Yeah. And you get turned into like a big creature or something, or you're empowered with buffs or something. I can't remember what they said exactly. It sounded like you turn into a massive creature. This is basically what happens. You turn into a massive creature that can wreak destruction on the enemy. You can destroy keep walls, which is what they said in the video.
Juggernaut was the word they used.
Juggernaut. That's
oh my
right.
gosh.
This is the 50 times. I've got this image, Kevduit, of like this massive thing 50 times bigger than you, and just
That's
like,
impossible.
do you know? I mean, if you're crushing walls, I mean, it's gotta be, right? I mean, Jesus. Whether or not maybe you're picking up and you're throwing rocks or whatever, and it's like this thing is just gonna be awesome. But the big kicker for me was that you have to feed it with kills or something.
Yeah.
So what happens if you don't feed it with kills?
It kills you.
Ah.
You die, and then somebody else can pick it up. So you've got to keep killing stuff.
But was it that it kills the person, or does it start to kill people around you? Because I got
it kills you, so you have to drop it. Because when you die, you drop it. So if you don't feed it, like, you can't just hang on to it and then just go camp somewhere. You've got to keep fighting.
That guy over there. Just be careful of him. He's got some special powers.
That guy.
We don't bother him. We just leave him over there.
Yeah.
We send him tea and cake, and make sure he's all right. And there's a bridge that he sits under. It's fine.
We don't talk to him.
Yeah.
They are all magical items, danger items. Yeah, like T said, exactly. Yeah. I'm glad that these guys all know what they're talking about. I'm just like, yeah, it's a massive hammer that they pick up and they become awesome. That would do for me, but this is why these guys are here as well. So that's exciting. So another thing coming to Cyrodiil as well. Oh, that's right. You don't know where it's going to spawn either. So it's anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you know when it spawns the location, right?
Everybody in zone gets a notification that it's spawned, and then you gotta go try and get it.
That reminds me of the Thanos thing in Fortnite, actually, in a random way.
That's what I thought when they first talked about this.
Yeah, it's like you go get the buff and it's just this ultimate beast, and hopefully it's
they have that Infinity Store sword mode in Fork Knife right now, and
we've got that right now in there.
You leap around like these massive, and then you land. Wouldn't it be sweet if you get this thing and you're like able to like do these massive like jumping, smashing, Hulk smash kind of leaps on stuff? That would be sweet.
2 million AP just in one swing.
Oh my gosh! All the AP. Oh my gosh!
That'd be great.
Awesome. So lots of stuff. Hopefully coming for Cyrodiil. Maybe some more changes. See how the lag gets addressed there as well.
Let's hope.
Yeah, you can. I mean, they like they said. At least they're being honest about it. They don't know if they're gonna be any more changes, if it's gonna help, but at least they're trying, right? The whole. I mean, even with Camelot Unchained, Crowfall, Ashes of Creation, all of these new MMOs, especially because they are so RVR focused. Realm v realm focus, like open world v world combat, it's one of the biggest selling points for some of these games when they address this is the amount of players that they can fit in a map without lag. And more often than not, they underestimate the amount of players that will cause lag because they don't have launch day. So they run these tests with alpha and beta people, and inevitably they can only simulate. They can't really copy release day. So it's one of the big issues for any MMO that comes out. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they can get where they can get to with those changes. Other than that, actually, I was just gonna kind of ask you guys a few questions about your Elder Scrolls kind of careers and where you started and stuff. If we've got enough time, if you guys are up for it, because we are going quite over now. But we are pretty much done with talking about. If there's anything else you would like to talk about from Elsewhere that you were specifically interested in or want to delve into, we can take some questions maybe and see how that goes, and then we can end. Otherwise, is there anything else that you guys wanted to bring up about Elsewhere at all?
I'm good.
Very excited.
I'm very excited.
Much hype.
Okay, see, is that your excited voice?
Yes.
That was good.
Very excited.
I'm very excited.
Oh boy.
I guess I'll play it or whatever.
Seems pretty cool.
T is awesome. You're awesome. You're so awesome. Great.
Yeah.
You have a question? Hey, Mysterious Dude. What's up, man? How you doing, dude? There's some epic content creators as well in the channel. So Mysterious Dude is one of those guys. I've known him from various MMOs I've streamed with as well. So make sure you go and check out some people in the chat. There is a command !TNC. You can follow all of these guys. If you have any questions in the chat, please feel free to use this time to ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm just going to ask them a few questions as quickly as we're going to end, because I've really gone too far in this podcast, and I was going to be vigilant, but I've just had too much fun. And again, if any of you guys need to go, that is absolutely fine. We can stop it there. Ninja Monkey asked, with how good the trailers look, would you or the panel want to see the ESO movie of the same quality? To see an ESO. I was like, there's a movie coming out. Jesus,
like,
yes.
What are we
When
talking
did that
about?
come out?
Comes off today.
Oh shit. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, personally, what trailer quality? I mean,
If it's this was, well, if you consider, so World of Warcraft, another MMO, has fantastic trailers and fantastic storytelling and just amazing animation.
How's
and
the
I
movie?
was so stoked for the movie, and the movie was lame as fuck. So I'm sorry.
You're
As
fine.
frick, as fire truck, as
no,
heck.
you can use
That
the
was good.
F-bomb in that.
Video game movie.
The movie
No.
was so bad.
No.
I mean, and the thing was, I was like, why can't you just hire one of these, if they can do this quality and tell this much of a story
Yeah.
with, give them the budget and the time to do a full feature length film with this. Why can't, if the Elder Scrolls went that route and used the studio, what is it, Blur? I think did this trailer, I believe. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine, if they were able to, given the resources and the budget, to go and take this trailer
Yeah.
and make a movie of this caliber. I would
Yeah.
totally watch
Without
that.
actual real actors who want like CGI everything. That's what I'd want. Just keep it in that kind of realm of things. Just
Yeah.
what was the Final
Yeah.
Fantasy movie that came out?
Oh, Kingsglaive. Yeah. Yeah.
Like loads of those that are just so good that are just but there was the other one, the older one.
Advent Children
Yes, was it
Good
Advent
movie.
Children?
with
Yeah.
Cloud and the big old sword.
I think it's
There was one
another
before
one.
that.
It was like a main movie,
I
like
don't know.
mainstream
Like the actual, just the Final Fantasy movie.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spirits Within.
1990 something.
Spirits
Yeah, Spirits Within. Yeah, that's right.
The 90s or something.
All those years ago.
Yeah, right. It was something like the late 90s. Oh God, why did you have to make me feel old?
I don't want to hear it from any of you. I don't want to hear it from any of you.
See, I don't know how old everyone is, so I can't say that. But yeah, I mean, I think we probably all would like to see. I mean, it would be cool. But the thing is, like Ninja says, I think if you make a movie, you bloody well make sure that it's good, because otherwise you make sure that they forget about it very, very quickly, which is I think what everyone did in World of Warcraft.
What's the point?
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be very awful.
Yeah.
Especially now, but I don't think. Yeah. I mean, Spirits Within. If you go and watch it now, it's a really well told story actually.
Good movie.
MP asked thoughts about the full size trial. There you go. That's something we didn't talk about much. That they are moving away from the style of Cloud Rest and Asylum Sanctum. So you guys can talk about this a little bit more, because I still haven't really. Actually, I did Cloud Rest, which was quite small. It felt like.
Very small.
Yeah.
It is small.
Very short. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that
Which is
question-
cool. But we had two of them in a row.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's like, can we have a full size trial back, please? So that, a la Hazel Fabrication size, Mauve Lorcage.
So
Mom,
the main
I like
difference.
it's perfect.
Yeah, Mom was great.
So those ones that I've not actually experienced, so this is useful for me and anyone that wants to get into trials. So you're talking about you want less of the just bosses, essentially, when you just go and kill a boss and then you move on to the next boss and then that's it. You just want to have trash mobs in there, a little bit more story, different bosses in between, like
Right.
varying mechanics, like kind of the old school raiding experience, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
That's so interesting.
So they do some really amazing storytelling with the trial. Like, specifically one of the reasons Ma is so loved is because, like, it's super unique to almost anything else you'll see in the game.
Yeah.
And the first time I ran through it, went with a couple friends who just wanted to check out the story, because if you go with trial people, they're like run. But
Yeah.
they if you just sit through a lot of the different parts of the trial, there's a coherent story that they're telling, and the environment as well really does a great job of telling that. And then there's the cool wall thing at the end, which you're lucky if you haven't seen before.
Yeah, and it has like a cadence. There's like a rhythm to it. So there's like, you're going through, you're killing some mobs, then you set up for the next boss. You can get a break, you go get a drink, whatever, do the boss, clean some trash, move on to the next thing. That there's like a peaks and valleys of activity in that trial.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel monotonous, where you have these +2 and +3 where it's one ginormous, super long, tedious boss fight that just feels like it goes on forever.
Right.
Yeah.
And and you do that on progression. It's the same fight forever, over and over and over for months. Sometimes it's just like, so the theory of these mini trials is neat. In practicality, I feel like it actually, even though it's a short trial, actually taxes your attention span to a level that people are just sick of it, because you're doing one thing forever. You know what I mean? So that's why I think everybody's like, okay, neat experiment, let's go back to the old trials. I'd much rather have some variation through the event, because you're talking similar time frames honestly. I mean, but would you rather spend the same amount of time and do a whole bunch of different things, or would you spend all your time fighting one boss? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I did that Asylum for the first time the other day.
Fun.
That was
so long.
Way longer. Oh my
I've still got
god!
to try these things.
Yeah.
What's it called? I've still got to try these things. Is it a trial?
It's the Clockwork City trial. It's the final boss is the same thing over and over again for like a half hour. So.
Okay.
And you add the +2 in there, and it's just
oh, it's awful.
Nope.
you just go in and you just do that the whole time.
Right.
Yep. It's brutal.
Okay.
Speaking of time, I'm gonna have to dash here in about 5 minutes. Just let you know.
That's all right. I think what we'll do is we'll finish, because I did go quite far over.
A 3-hour tour.
It is about 3 hours.
A 3-hour tour.
I'll hopefully one that I'll get a chance to ask these guys all these things maybe on another one, because we'll swap people around. We'll have a look. But otherwise, I mean, if there's unless there's anything massively pressing, yes, there is an email as well. I can't remember what it was. It is the new companions at gmail.com. The new companions ESO at gmail.com. If you want to email any questions over to me, and maybe I'll pass them over to these guys, maybe, I mean, time and everything else, I would say for the future shows, and you know who's going to be on future shows, then I can get these questions out to guests and people a lot earlier, and then we can think about them as we're going through the show, and we can obviously put them out as well. Just check the chat for 2 seconds. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. It is the new companions indeed, and we've had 3 companions who joined me this week. It's Ninja614, Kevduit, and T, the Khajiit. It's been absolutely fantastic. Who are you, and when did you get noticed in ESO? Well, I am just a pleb. I am just a normal pleb, and these guys are obviously gods. Pretty much it. Now, I've been streaming for ages. I'm more of a variety guy, but ESO is very much, I'm starting to kind of fall in love with this community and the game, and I've streamed a lot more ESO over the last couple of weeks. I used to be a shoutcaster, a commentator, and a host, so I used to do shows like this a lot, and work in production and stuff like that. So if any of you want to, make sure you please go and check all of these guys out. And I'm going to go through actually Ninja614. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about you as a streamer, where people can reach you, what you do? Just sell yourself. There you go, for a moment.
I am an old biker that plays video games and makes videos on the interwebs, and you can find me at twitch.tv/ninja614, YouTube/ninja614. Instagram Ninja614, but for some weird reason, Twitter Ninja_614 because some guy in 2012 made Ninja614 and promptly got banned, and he's still banned, and I still can't get Twitter to give it to me. So
wow.
So there you go.
The story of our lives. It's the same story of my life. All my social media is just awful. Didn't think it would ever be a thing, so I just never thought about it. But awesome. Yeah, go sub to him, go follow him, go do all the things, Twitter, all the things. And literally, if you can do that, like, the family becomes bigger. Kev, do it.
Sell myself.
Sell yourself. You
$20 to the high spit. Contrary to Ninja, I'm a young biker. I used to be. And I make content on the Twitch and the YouTubes as well. I used to be quite heavily involved in the ESO community, so I'll live stream ESO often, but also kind of getting into games like Anthem and Apex lately. Yeah, those have been fun. Yeah, that's I'm known as the guy who does the weird voices on the ESO videos.
Can you give us a little bit an example? Okay.
Question Elf.
Beautiful.
Please make sure you go follow his stuff because his YouTube videos are just hilarious.
Thank you.
And also the awesome T who joined us late notice as well. Very much appreciated. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, where we can find you and stuff?
Okay. I'm T_Khajiit. And as my bot likes to call me. And I've been streaming ESO. I'm coming up on a year now. It's scary to think about.
Wow. That's awesome.
And but I've been playing since forever, since the server stress test betas. I wasn't cool enough to get to the earlier betas, but I love the game. I've recently started streaming some Nintendo titles too on top of ESO. That's been fun.
Okay.
And you can find me on the Twitters, but my name is @MarwindRP there. And then here, I'll post in chat. Hi guys.
There's a link as well, which has got all of your Twitch channels.
Hi guys.
There you go. Yeah, go and click their names as well.
You see the little Kado emotes.
They're awesome emotes. In fact, everyone has epic emotes. I've seen ninjas, obviously. You've got some
I mean, it's been so cool to see all the emotes in chat.
Have a look. You can, so if you subscribe to these guys, make sure you throw some support. I've got to see some Kevduit emotes. I've not really seen any of my emotes, even though it's on my channel.
What? Hold on, I'll do one.
But it's thank you very much. It's the fish and not my
there
emotes. Our emotes, sorry. Oh, there you go. The Kappas. They're coming. So, guys, thank you so much. It's been a really, really awesome show. I may continue because I normally stream on a Sunday anyway. So I stream till 5 p.m. I will have a tiny little break and I'll come back and see how I can work that one out. Otherwise, it's been a really, really fun show. I don't know these guys that well, but I've known them, on Twitch streams and meeting them in different places. So I really appreciate them trusting me to produce this show because obviously they're very awesome creators. Within the Elder Scrolls Online scene, so I very much appreciate you guys coming on, and hopefully I'll see you in the future for another one. If you guys did enjoy the content that you saw today, oh god, don't say content, I hate that word. If you enjoyed what you saw today during the show, then let us know, tweet and whatnot, and I'll bring it back. We'll do one maybe potentially every 2 weeks. Probably have different guests. I'll invite these guys back again, but it'll be more centralized on topics like specifically PvP, maybe passive balance, maybe other things as well, so we can really deep dive into different things. But with Elsweyr coming up as well, it's a good way to hype up the expansion, hype up the DLCs and everything else that's coming out, because there's a lot to talk about. So why not chuck another podcast out there for people to do it? It will be on a Sunday. It will be 11 a.m. Pacific or 3 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT in the future, and I think 2 weeks time I'll bringing it back. But otherwise, I want to say thank you to Ninja, Kevduit, and the Khajiit once again.
Khajiit.
There you go. And I want to thank you in chat for watching. And we'll see you soon. Also, thank you to the community team who helped out. We got us drops for the day as well. And the so Gina and everyone over there who obviously helps with everything, and everyone else on the stream team. Please make sure you go and follow these guys. And I'll see you in a bit. These guys will see you on their next streams, which is awesome.
Heck yeah.
Guys,
Bye.
thanks so much for watching.
Bye, bye, bye.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you soon, chat. Take it easy as I'm trying to make sure I do this correctly.
The plan is in place. You are but an inconvenience. Until next time, Vestige.